5-time world overall champion, I think. She's one of the best to ever do it. Thought she would cakewalk in. She actually had a crash on jump number 1. You were the boat judge. You had to jump in and save her, Dorian. And such a tough, wily competitor. She strapped the skis back on, went out, took 2 more jumps, still went 48, 49 meters, punched her ticket through the final ahead of Anna Gay and Sasha Danielskaya. So she'll be skiing today. She'll be first off the dock in the women's. And the men's, well, real shake-ups there as well. Super tight field, 7 cut down to 5.
Yeah, and we started off strong. Tobias Georges, you know, it's his first event, debut for the tour, and really strong 3 at 10.75. You know, by his standards, I think he'd be really happy with that, especially with this being his first tour event. You know, now we're going to get into some disappointed faces. Martin Labra, he can definitely run this pass, and I think that's what he was thinking about yesterday, but unfortunate mistake there at 3, and he's upset about it, clearly. Martin Coleman, he's coming back, hasn't been in a lot of tournaments this year, but, you know, he can get deep down this pass, and you know, a little mistake there on the heels, and again, there you can see the frustration in his face. And Edo, same thing. He can run this pass. He's been really deep down this line length. And another mistake at 2-ball. There's a lot of guys that ended up at 2 at 39 at 10.75. And you know, Louis, another guy to be pushing for the overall title, and he needs the slalom score to be higher in order to get there. And 2 at 10.75. That's unfortunately not going to make Joel flinch. And you know, this is where Joel really has a leg up on everybody, because going off the dock, whether it's slalom, trick, or jump, all these guys know that Joel is capable of running this 10.75 this nice. So he's consistent, which makes everybody else second guess what they're going to do in the other events, because they know that they have to catch up with this massive slalom score. And then he's coming back, huge 1-ball here at 10.2. Actually gets really good into 2, but overturns there, and you know, almost has a Freddie Winter style cut through the wakes.
Tobias Georges, under 21 world overall champion, he showed us why with some great tricking, up over 9,000 points, backing up that solid slalom score, just falling there end of his run. And then Martin Labra, he is one of the quickest toe trickers, crispest, cleanest in the world. He tricked up over 11,000 points yesterday, set himself up with a chance to make this final, and this is absolutely beautiful to watch from him. What a talent on the water. And then it was a treat to have 2-time world overall champion Pipe Miranda make his way to this tournament. He didn't have the best of days on the water. He's not tricking as quick as he used to back in his younger days. He's slowing down, and this trick score in the end, just under 8,000 points, cost him. Martin Coleman, another former world overall champion, he's out here on the tour the first time this season. He skied pretty well, probably a little bit down from his best in all 3 events, but he ended up doing enough to get through to the final, and this was solid tricking from Martin, of course, out of the Czech Republic. Great stuff there to finish, and tricked over 10,000 points, consistent across all 3 events. Then we got into Edo. Edo was in a very tight neck-and-neck battle to make the final. Probably missed a couple tricks through this toe pass. Just landing on the rope there, you see at the end, and falling on that very last one. But just did enough in the end. Louis, he's a treat to watch. One of the best trickers in the world right now. And it's probably the foundation of his overall success. This was great toe tricking from the freshman. Over the line, stomps a big toe line back-to-back face in the water. This beautiful toe line 5, but unfortunately that time not able to back it up. And then Joel was almost all over. He almost lost it there on that very first trick, and he would have not been in the final, but he recovered in the end, finishing up with a really strong hand one. This is the Super Mob 5, the trick only he does. Great stuff to watch, but you know, heart in the mouth stuff. He almost blew it on trick number 1.
Yeah, it was a bit of a crazy start for him. You know, last year he had a fall here, so I'm sure he's happy to get past that. You know, our youngster here, Martin Labra, had a huge jump yesterday. He's the only guy going at 5.5 and also at a slower speed. So you can't fault him for, you know, missing out on the finals by a little bit. I think he's going to be around for a long time. And like you said, former world champion Pipe Miranda, he's just coming back this year, had a big jump. Same thing with Martin Coleman. I'm actually really impressed by his 63-meter jump. And then Louis, like you said, trick's his strongest, but he's been really good in jump this year. And he showed it yesterday with a 65, being the second farthest jump of the day. And then the guy in form, the guy that's leading the tour, Joel Poland, he went huge yesterday. He stepped it up after every jump. I think his first jump was 64, then he went 66, and then 69. So, you know, I'm expecting big things from him today.
Yeah, you look at that leaderboard, so a few notable things. Joel Poland, the perfect score in overall is 3,000. He picked up 2,985. So oh so close to the perfect score, way out in front. Louis skied well, he's second seed. Martin Coleman, no surprises, rounds out the top 3. Tobias Georges, he got through comfortably, but only 1 overall point separating Edo Morenzi and young Tincho Martin Labra. And in the end, Edo got that 1 overall point ahead. That's nothing. That's less than a side slide or an inch or a quarter buoyant slalom. But Edo Morenzi, by the skin of his teeth, managed to squeak through to that final. So he'll be first off the dock in the men's.
Yeah, it's almost like Edo got that little bit of veterans bonus for being on the tour. And Martin, like we've been saying, he's so strong in each event. He's so young too. I think, over the next couple of years, it's going to be crazy to see what he's able to put together, and especially as he starts putting up his jump speed and then putting the ramp up to 6 foot. And yeah, it's going to be awesome. And Edo, he's probably happy to get through yesterday, but based on the way he skied, I don't think he's satisfied. So we'll be looking to see him first off the dock and pushing it.
Yep, and we're about to go into the women's slalom. So all the skiers will slalom, they will trick, and they will jump in pretty quick succession. So not going to be a lot of time to catch your breath here, Dorian. Should be about 3 hours from start to finish. First off the dock, because we seed it based on your overall score, not your slalom score, will be the current world record holder in slalom, probably the greatest female slalom skier our sport has ever seen, Regina Jacques. This is a huge treat, folks. And she will be first off the dock. She'll, of course, be followed by Hannah Stratslover, Paige Rini, and Gianina Bonneman-Meckler, those 4 vying it out for the title of WorldWaterSkiers Florida Cup champion.
Yeah, I mean, it's awesome seeing Regina out here, and she's, she's getting towards the older side of this field, but at the same time, the way she's skiing, I mean, she's still rocking and in each event. I mean, yesterday, maybe not her best day, but I think the jump crash didn't help, obviously, but to crash on jump number 1 and then to turn around and still put out a score to make the finals is something in and of itself. And this is, the way that Regina would want to start is going off the dock in slalom, and immediately, she'd want to run 10.75 and put that score in everybody's head that, you're chasing me now, even though I would imagine that Gianina is still going to be comfortable going, through tricks after that. But you can never deny a 10.25 score, so that's definitely what Regina is going to be going for here.
Exactly right. She needs to build a little bit of a lead in slalom because she's not quite as strong in tricks. She's a very strong jumper. She won a pro event in Jump King of Darkness earlier this year, so she's very strong in slalom and jump. Tricks a little bit weaker in the field. Probably what she needs to win this event is to go out and do really solid scores in all 3 events. And it's probably looking for one of the other girls like Gianina just to fall early or lose a couple tricks. Tricks is the hardest event to be consistent in.
Yeah.
But it all starts here in the slalom. She'll open up at 13 meters, 32 off. These are really just warm-up passes for her to get her in rhythm.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, we shouldn't have any problems here. But at the same time, Regina does kind of round out a couple girls that you never know. They could pop off a couple big scores, and we could be talking about overall records today. So,
Absolutely. One of the greatest to ever do it. Regina Jacques makes her way through 13 meters, 32 off, and easy as you like. This is someone, if you want to learn how to advance your slalom game, tapes of Regina Jacques, I couldn't think of a better skier to study.
Yeah, actually, I was sitting in the boat yesterday judging for the women during slalom, and I'm obviously supposed to be counting buoys and watching the gates and looking at the times, but a lot of times I was looking at her technique, trying to figure out, what she does so well. And it's crazy, the amount of angle and separation she gets from the buoy, from the second wake. I mean, there aren't many people, both men and women, that are able to do what she does. I mean, she's not the biggest person, and as somebody who's not exactly the tallest person on the slalom dock, that's incredible.
Yeah, it's remarkable. I saw a stat the other day that Regina has run over 300 10.75s or 39s
Wow.
in her career. Now, you find me somebody at 5'5" on the men's side that's run over 300 39s. I don't think that exists. So pound for pound, inch for inch, I'd say she's the greatest slalom skier of all time. I don't think there's any doubt about it, because it's typically a tall person sport. You look at the top men's slalom skiers, they're all pretty tall. Regina, she's a pretty compact unit. She's coming in now. This will be the 12-meter line, 35 off, head breeze coming in from the western end and making easy work could not be earlier as she heads across from 4 to 5 is the 4-time world slalom champion, current world record holder Regina Jacques, showing us why she has the pool room, the trophy room that she does.
Yeah, and I mean, you look at some of these passes and how easy it is. I know that most of these girls are going to get through the 12-meter line length today, but I mean, this isn't an easy pass for every girl in this field. So for her to look that easy, again, we're talking about her getting to 10.25, and all these girls on shore are just knowing that she's not even sweating yet. And that's going to get into people's minds, and they're going to have to start thinking about strategy. But overall, it is a long event. So, you know, you can never get too high, too low. You want to just keep going through the entire event. So as I say that, I'm hoping that all the girls watching aren't getting too in their head, but that's what a massive slalom score can do.
Yeah, the class is apparent too, because by starting at 32 off 13, she's now going to have to take 11 meters, 38 off with the tail breeze, which sets her up for that 39 head, which is what she wants. The other girls I pick will all probably start at 28 off at 14 meters. They'll want 11 meters with the head breeze. So they're not even really trying to be in the same contention. They're comfortable with Regina taking a lead after slalom. They know that she has the class to do it. This now, 11 meters, 38 off. This is the first line length where the rope does not reach outside the boys and starts off really well, even with that tail breeze. No sweat as she heads now across to 4-ball. Regina Jacques, she's all over this pass. She cranks 5-ball and waits for 6. What an easy 38 off pass.
Yeah, that was super solid, especially for that tailwind. I mean, you know, it's not crazy apparent on the webcast right now. Actually, that angle does show it pretty well, that the wind is really nice, but I mean, it is there. Like, that tailwind 38 is not super easy for any skier. You know, it is the line length where the rope doesn't get all the way out to the buoy, like you said. So yeah, this is a pass that most of the top end skiers are going to be comfortable skiing in the slalom division, but it's one that if you make a mistake, things can move pretty quickly.
Yeah, and speaking about that wind, it's pretty sheltered here for most of the course, but as you get down to that far western end where Regina is stopped right now, the lake starts to open up, there's less wind protection, and so this gate where she comes back at 39 is going to be a little tricky. This, though, is a replay of her at 38 off, just stroking this past Dorian.
Yeah, I mean, the way that she's transitioning between the wakes out to the buoy and keeping the line tat at a 135, I mean, that's just amazing. And, you know, 2.4 is considered her onside, but right now, I mean, the way that she's turning 135, I don't think you could call that her offside either. I mean, every turn that she just made looked like it should be called her onside.
Couldn't agree with you more. So she'll come now in from the western end. Like we said, the lake opens up, so there might just be a little bit of bumpiness, a little chop on this gate. Once she gets into course into 1, it smooths right out. We have that protection. Critical, she gets a good start here at 39. Hooks up well out of 1. She's around 2. Will she notch another one here? Another 39. Oh, rears up out of 3. She's in trouble. She'll get outside 4. She's scrapping here. She's late. Big turn on 5, she rears up, she's not going to run it. Uncharacteristic from her 5 at 10.75 at 39. It's still a good score, a score that realistically none of the other girls will catch, but she hasn't built quite the lead she did in slalom yesterday.
Yeah, like we've been talking about a couple times, you know, obviously the ring of saying 10.25, it sounds different than 5 at 10.7, and the unfortunate thing for something like that in the overall game is, you know, if you get to 6-ball at 10.7 that you're probably going to get to 10.2 and get a couple buoys. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you know, she had a good start, and let's see, I think she gets unstuck here a little bit at 3-ball or 5-ball, sorry, and yeah, just man, getting turned backwards by the boat, overcommitting, tail comes up, and that's how quickly things can go out there. I mean, it's crazy slalom.
Yeah, it shows you the class too, because I thought out of 3 she was done. But she has that experience. She's a pretty gutsy, scrappy skier, and she was able to pick up an extra 2 buoys there, and that'll be really valuable. The difference between a 3 at 10.7, that's the sort of score a Paige Rini could match, and a 5 at 10.7 where it starts to get, you know, above the personal best of the rest of the field.
Yeah, so she'll know that going into tricks that most likely she'll have a lead, but I don't think it's the lead that she would have wanted. And yeah, I think like you were saying before, you know, Hannah's going to know that getting a good score here in slalom in combination with a solid trick score, she's going to go into jump feeling confident. And Gianina, if she gets a good slalom score, is going to go into trick feeling confident. But yeah, you never know. It's anybody's game throughout this whole event of overall. It's such a roller coaster ride.
That's right. Hannah Stratslover, her second stop of the year. She's actually the defending champion from the WorldWaterSkiers Florida Cup from 2022. and showing us why. This is super tidy stuff at 28 off the 14-meter line to start. That breeze is picking up. It's starting to get fairly strong out there. I think it's still pretty nice, particularly for the bigger jumpers, but there's maybe a little more breeze out there than the slalom skiers would ideally like. She runs 14, no worries at all. You know, Hannah, #1 ranked overall skier in the world right now in terms of performances in ranking list tournaments. Probably hasn't had the performances in big tournaments like the WorldWaterSkiers Overall Tour so far to back that up. You know, it's one thing to do it when the pressure's off. It's another thing to do it here in the big dance, the pro tournament. The conditions aren't always perfect. We got to ski, you know, at the scheduled times. But she has the capability to really push Gianina. It was pretty tight right through to the end in Calgary. They were neck and neck throughout. It's probably the most I've seen Gianina sweat so far this season. And Hannah, you know, if she gets a solid slalom and trick score, she doesn't have to be in the lead, but if she can stay in the hunt because of that superior jumping ability, she has the chance to leapfrog the field. Starts here in the slalom. She'll shorten up down the western end, come back in with the head breeze. This should be pretty stock standard, you'd think, with the head breeze at 13 meters.
Yeah, for sure. With the headwind, you know, slows you down, gives you a little more time at each buoy, and it can make you a little narrower, but at a pass like this at 13 meters, I don't think that should be a problem for her at all. Not to mention all these skiers, you know, they've skied in different conditions, so she'll be good.
Okay, Hannah Stratslover, 32 off. Starts well. She's on time and early. She heads across to 3. She's all over this pass, folks. Enjoying that head breeze, keeping a nice tight line. She's outside of 5, and that is a very tidy pass from her. You know, her slalom's interesting because probably would have picked it as the weaker of her 3 events, but I've actually seen the odd score come through for her even into 10.75. So she has in the past, I'm not sure if it's happened this season, but in the past she's actually run 11 meters. And as an overall skier, that's pretty huge for a girl. Yeah,
for sure. And you know, before the event, the two of us were talking about all these girls, and like we mentioned with Regina, there are a couple girls that are in that world record, you know, category. And Hannah's one of those girls that if she pops off a huge slalom score, and then she has really high trick potential as well, but then she goes into jump, and I mean, with a 57, 58 meter jump, that's going to get her so many points that she's always a threat to either, you know, take a win at a tournament, take the world title, or take the world record.
Yeah, well, it's the longest standing world record in skiing right now, women's overall, held by Natalia Bernardakova. All the way back in 2012, she set that record. I think the next longest men's slalom is back to 2013, so longest standing record, and you'd have to think its days could be numbered with the class of skiing we're seeing from the likes of Hannah, Gianina. This now will be the 12-meter line with the tail breeze. This is going to be tricky for Hannah. She's got a pretty strong blustery breeze behind her. Needs a good start. Hooks up well out of 1 and 2. Little bit of slack line, though. She needs a big turn here to get back in. It cranks 3-ball. She's made up a lot of ground. This is good. She's fighting through this pass across to 6. And not as tidy or as easy as the passes before. Obviously had to work a lot harder than Regina did at 12. But I would say running that 12 downwind, she's got to be pretty happy with her performance already.
Yeah, and she gets a really good start here. You know, this end is short, so that gate was actually really good for having a short and a tailwind. This is where she has some problems. Pulls the handle up to her face, but man, her 135 was pretty solid, kept the line tight. This turn was really good, especially after a 2-ball like that. And then 5 actually just cleans up and comes in easy into 6. But, you know, to have a 2-ball like that, to wheelie, to pull the handle up to your face, but then to still have a good 4-ball and not overcorrect or undercorrect, that's really good, and that shows that her mindset. She's really strong throughout that pass.
You know, it's something I feel like I see more of from the overall skiers, people particularly with a tricking background. They have that ability to scrap through a pass, to find their way back from an out of position scenario. I think a lot of times you see kids growing up that only slalom and they don't have that same balance foundation where they can't, as soon as they get a little bit out of position, it's all over for them. But I think particularly from the skiers that have that tricking background, they have that balance, that sort of body awareness to pull back from situations like that.
Yeah, for sure. It's knowing where your center mass is on your ski at all times is definitely helpful.
Okay, this is 11 meters, 38 off for Hannah Stratslover. How deep down this pass can she get? It's not a bad start out of 1. She'll get across to 2. She's still on this, folks. She heads across to 3 ball. This is the big score here from her. She'll get to 4. She's on top. Oh, she was actually not even that late there. I think the eyes lit up. She saw 6, and she probably just turned 4 a little bit hard. This is a huge score, though, from Hannah Stratslover.
Yeah, and like you said, good start. I mean, I don't think she'd want a better start than that. I mean, she coming into 2 early, pulls the handle up a little bit, same mistake as at 12, but actually better, not as bad as at 12. So you'd think that she'd be all right. A little bit slow at a 3, maybe that's why she started to, get a little jumpy, but still early. And oh man, I mean, yeah, she just needed to wait on the line a little bit longer, stay a bit more connected to the boat. And yeah, I think obviously it's an improvement from yesterday and it's a big score, but like you said, I think she already saw 6 ball in her mind, and that full pass would have been huge for this tournament. But again, that's a good score for her, and it's going to set her up really nicely for the rest of the day. And she'll, she might be a little bit disappointed going out of slalom right now, but in a little bit of time, I think she's going to look at this and think, all right, I'm in this game, and she's going to keep pushing through trick and jump.
Yeah, it's better than she skied yesterday. It's an improvement. And again, like we said, her strength is the jump, so she can go in maybe a little behind the field into jump. 3.5 at 11, great score from her. This is critical though. Paige Rini, slalom probably the strongest of her 3 events. She's someone who's capable of getting a score up close to what we saw from Regina. She'll open up at the 14 meters, 28 off. This will be pretty stock standard stuff from her as we see her make her way through this opening pass. Been really impressed with what I've seen of Paige so far on the tour. Of course, she was with us in Lacanau at the opening stop. Probably didn't have the best of weekends in Calgary, but looking to see if she can move her way up the top of the leaderboard here as we come into the final event of the season. Super tidy stuff at 28 off. Interesting dynamic though for her. She's going to have 11 with the head breeze, which is good, and she's probably just resigned herself to trying to run that and pick up, say, a 2 or something at 10.75 with that tail breeze. Probably the smart choice.
Yeah, I think so. I think, potentially that might have been already what she was thinking before, but I think after watching Regina not run 10.7, that she probably would have been a lot more okay getting a 2 or maybe getting to a 3. And like you said, slalom is her best event, and then you also take account into tricks, and she's, on a normal day, I think you'd expect Paige to trick a decent amount more than both Regina and Hannah. That being said, she's not tricking as much as Gianina, but she can slalom more than Gianina. So that's where this whole overall game comes into play. And I think you're right with, knowing that she can slalom more than Gianina, seeing Hannah and Regina both slalom maybe a little bit less than they were hoping for. I think a score at 10.75 is going to be awesome for Paige today.
Absolutely. Shorten up the rope. Towboat roaring in now from the western end. This is Paige Rini of Canada. 13 meters, 32 off. With the head breeze, this should be pretty regulation stuff for her, just a warm-up pass. Really great technique. There's a reason she's in so many of Radar's commercials right now. She's very photogenic out there on the slalom ski. And another tight pass from her.
Yeah, I mean, so far, we talked about Regina and Hannah having really good 1.35s, which is actually their offside. Paige is unbelievable on both sides, but man, her onside is really on.
Okay, let's cut to the dock. We got Lauren Morgan with a skier standing by.
All right, we have Regina Jacques, just came in, 5 at 39. How are you feeling?
I mean, not the best. That was past that I usually run. So for me, my standard is I should run that. But that's overall. You never really know what's going to happen. And, tough format as we did all 3 yesterday, going in today doing all 3. But that's just going to have to keep going with the rest of the events.
Yeah, well, good job. And we look forward to seeing you in tricks and jump.
Thank you.
Back to you, Curtis.
To everyone on site to open up your phone right now and log into WorldWaterSkiers.com, the official website of the Florida Cup. You can click on Florida Cup. It'll be featured on the homepage. It's all the tabs are laid out. You'll see the schedule, the athlete profiles, live scores, webcast button. This now is Paige Rini returning on the 12-meter line with the tail breeze. This is the pass I would say she runs pretty much every time, but that tail breeze has been up at times. Looks to be doing the good so far as she heads now across to 5. A little bit of a safety turn on 4, but I think she was always on time and early enough to run that pass. And that breeze actually dying down, so probably going to have some variable wind conditions throughout the day. Right now, I look at that breeze coming down the Lake Dorian, and I think we should be jumping. Let's hope it holds through the afternoon, because it is perfect out there. Paige has set herself up now, though, to come back with 11 in the head breeze.
Yeah, I mean, super solid stuff from Paige. I mean, look at the way that ski turned on 3-ball, and 4-ball good as well, but the ski's just coming around so nicely on her onside and just holding that angle that, you know, she's getting so early into the next buoy, and that's such an advantage when you can not only get the angle but hold it and then maintain it through the wakes. I mean, that's, you know, that's stuff that Nate Smith does super well, and that's one of the reasons why he is the best slalom skier in the world. And you can see that Paige has had a lot of work in the slalom event. Yeah, I mean, she's setting up herself really nicely here, and it's an interesting game in overall with slalom, especially, you know, you were talking about Hannah in terms of being maybe more of a tricker and a jumper than a slalom skier and how you can correct certain mistakes. But at the same time, you know, there are certain passes in slalom in an overall competition that you just know that you have to get through in order to put yourself in the game. And I don't think that Paige looked nervous there at all, but that 12-meter line was kind of that pass for her. Like, she needed to get through that, and she wants to run this, but I'd say no matter what, she's in the game now.
That's right. Shortened up to 11 meters, 38 off. Paige Rini. What can she do for us? A good start on 1. She heads across the 2-ball now. She's looking the good so far as she heads across to 3. Hooks up well out of 3. Paige Rini, she's running the 11. Can she hold on and fight through the end of the pass? No. Rears up out of 4. Slips inside 5. And in the end, finishes only half a buoy ahead of Hannah Stratslover. And I'd say she'll be a little bit disappointed with the start that she couldn't go on to run it.
Yeah, definitely. There, she just looked like she was a little bit slow at each buoy, you know, losing the line just a touch there, but actually a good start. And then, you know, this is where the ski comes up a little bit, just a little bit slow, not as much angle into 3. And then what her normally her great side, you know, it was good, but it wasn't as good as she probably wanted to get back in the pass. And she just comes slow out of 4 and no angle into 5. And yeah, that's disappointing. And like we said, you know, she's definitely in the game, and no matter what, she's going to be fighting for a podium spot right now. But I think, like all the girls so far, I think that she left some points out there on the board. And I do think, again, same as with Regina and Hannah, you know, I don't think that she's going to leave this and think, that was bad or anything, but she'll definitely be thinking that she left points on the board that would have been valuable down the road.
Absolutely. The boat heads back to the dock, picks up our next skier, Gianina Bonneman-Meckler, who has been undefeated so far on the WorldWaterSkiers Overall Tour. She is the in-form overall skier in the world right now, looking to see if she can close out the season in style with a clean sweep of the Overall Tour, winning today. And then, of course, eyes will turn to the World Championships later this year. This will be 14 meters, 28 off to start. Pretty conservative stuff from her. Of course, we talked about Regina being a little bit vertically challenged. Well, spare a thought for poor Gianina, who's only about 5'1", and you can see why slalom is probably the weaker of her 3 events, but has a really great technique. Obviously does a lot of training with her husband, Dane Meckler, who's one of the top men's slalom skiers in the world right now, and I think has really picked up her slalom skiing in the last couple of years. I've been really impressed with her consistency on the tour. You know, she's not someone who's going to post a huge score like a Regina or even a Paige, but week in, week out, she has been running the 12, getting into 11, getting starts at 11. You know, we've seen her get as far as 3-ball on that pass in the tour so far this season, and you can see with the scores already from Hannah and Paige, that puts her right in the mix.
Yeah, and you know, again, like we were talking about before with people that are trick dominant or jump dominant, you know, there are a couple people that fall into that category, like Gianina, like Anna, like Erica when she used to slalom. I mean, you know, I went to Rollins with Erica, so I watched her ski in countless different conditions, and I don't remember a time where she didn't run 2 at 11. And Gianina's that same way. You know, she normally goes out there, regardless of the conditions. She's a fighter. She's going to get through the pass, and she's going to get a score on the 11-meter line length. And as long as she does that today, that's putting her in a great spot, in the same spot that she's been in throughout this whole year on the tour, and that spot being, you know, chasing that win and chasing the dominance that she's had all year.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, tricks is her strongest event. Obviously, she's part of a very exclusive club of women to have tricked over 10,000 points, and she started to do it with real consistency. But it's the fact that she's picked up her slalom to this level where she's, you know, really dominant in overall. This now is 13 meters 32 off for Gianina with the head breeze, and this is super tidy skiing from her. She's all over this pass, just getting a feel for the conditions, wants to start off strong here in the slalom, the weaker of her 3 events. She doesn't have to match the top score, but she wants to get into 11 to have, you know, a really good chance and build that foundation for trick and jump to come.
Yeah, and like I was saying before, you know, Gianina is a really good slalom skier, and she has all the tools to be there, but, you know, like myself and like even Dane, I mean, when Dane stands next to me, I think he's pretty tall. But on a pro slalom, especially in the finals on a pro slalom dock, Dane is not the biggest guy. So, you know, the two of them work really well together, where Dane knows some of the struggles that she goes through. And yeah, I mean, that being said, you know, like I was saying before, with overall skiing, this 12-meter line pass is going to be big for Gianina. And it's in a tailwind. And, you know, she's mentally strong. I've seen her get through this pass countless times. But you know, for her and for Dane and you know, all the people watching back home, this is a must-run pass. And I know there's going to be a little bit of butterflies, but as long as she does what she normally does and all the things that she's capable of, we should see 6 buoys here.
Absolutely. Critical moment here in the overall battle. Gianina Bonneman-Meckler, undefeated all season. However, if she misses this pass, she's going to have a hole to climb out of. This is the 12-meter line, 35 off for Gianina. With the tail breeze, needs a good start. She's got it. She heads across the 2-ball now. She's still looking the goods. A little bit of slack line to deal with, but doesn't seem to be phasing her. She heads across the 4 now. No worries at all as she comes around 5-ball, and that might have been a cleaner pass than her 13 even. She's really building throughout. It sounds like we got Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, we have Paige Rini down here at the dock. She just came off the water in slalom. Paige, how was it out there? How were the conditions? Let us know what's going on.
It was a little bit windy, and there were a few patches of weeds that I saw, but I mean, I had a great time. I ran 4:38, which is not my best, and you know, it's overall though, so anything can happen. I have 2 more events to get through, so I'm confident.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to seeing you out there. Good luck.
Thank you.
Great, working on our new Skrillex mixtape down there dockside. We'll try and sort that out for the next interview.
Yeah, it's the WWS Auto Tune. We're getting Post Malone out here later, so we had to get it set up for them.
Fantastic. The towboat down at the western end. This will be 11 meters 38 off with the head breeze. She's done the hard part, I'd say. Gianina, I think her personal best is something like a heartbreaking 5.5 or a 6 no continuation at 11. So she has gotten right down this pass before, but typically I would say she's a 2 to 3 at 11 is a really good day for her. She's happy with it. And with the head breeze now, let's see what she can do for us. Can she get a good start, have a crack at matching the scores we saw from Hannah and Paige? Mastercraft boat roars into toss. Comes now around 1 ball. Good start on 1. She's deep across the 2. This is better than yesterday. She heads across the 3 mile. 38 off. She's fighting hard for 4. She's going to tie. Oh, she keeps going. She's outside 5. It's personal best territory. Gianina Bonneman-Meckler. She's run 38 off. The fist goes up. And that is huge. Well, assuming things go to script in trick and jump, I do not see how anyone can catch her today, Dorian. That's a big moment. We believe that's the first time she has run this pass in a tournament.
Yeah, I mean, talk about Regina going out and putting a score at 10.25 to send a message. You think this sends a message? I mean, holy smokes. She got a huge 1, but she maintained it really well into 2 and, you know, still gets that turn a little slow at 3 and pulling long into 4, but man, is she strong. I mean, she turned 4 ball so hard, and at this point, I mean, this is all bonus for her. She knows she's going to be in a really good spot, but she's a fighter and she wants to get through this pass. And man, I mean, look at that emotion coming out the gates. I mean, she's pumped right now.
Absolutely. And you know what? It's a little early. We're in the first event of the day, but we've talked a little bit about that overall world record. We'll want to keep an eye on that throughout, because if Gianina can back up this slalom score with the trick and jump score she had yesterday, I think we could potentially see a record going down. Like we said, the longest standing record in the sport. Let's see what she can do. You know, I'm not sure she practices this pass a lot. Maybe has only been at it once or twice in her life, even in practice. This is Gianina Bonneman-Meckler, 39.5 off. Comes around one, she'll S-turn, get the full one, but that is a huge score. Put your hands together, ladies and gentlemen. And she will be over the moon with a new personal best.
Yeah, and I think we should have Natalia Berdnikova here on site either now or later, and be interesting to see her take on some of the things. You know, obviously, Natty and Gianina have a lot of the same strengths. You know, Natty and Gianina maybe not as good in the slalom event, really good in the trick event, and then Natty obviously was one of the best of all time in jump. But, you know, it's going to be really interesting to see how Gianina reacts to this, because on one side, yes, she does want to break the overall record, and I was actually thinking that as she ran the 12-meter line length. I mean, you know, she ran 1.5 yesterday, and she still had a commanding lead. So in her mind, if I were her, I would have been thinking, okay, I've done the hard part. I now can go out, and I can just go for it at 11. And not that she was thinking about the record, but, you know, she didn't need anything at that 11-meter line length, which totally freed her up to just go for an attack. So
that's right. So after slalom, of course, Regina, like we all expected, out in front, but not the score we expected. 5 at 10.75. Second, Gianina, a bolter, a personal best, 1 at 10.75. And then Paige is in third with 4 at 11.38 off. Hannah Stratslover, though, she skied well, 3.5 at 11 or 38 off.
Yeah, I mean, those are big scores for us in the slalom event and overall tournament. So the fireworks are already starting, and, you know, we've only been through 4 skiers, and we'll see. I mean, you know, like I was saying before, this is still an overall tournament, so Gianina will go out in tricks, and she'll be pushing because, you know, she wants to trick 10,000 points as many times as possible, especially getting ready for the Worlds. But there's always that game to play. You know, how hard should I push, and, you know, how much should I maybe hold back a little bit because now I have that lead. And it gives her options, but knowing Gianina, you know, she's always one to throw down and to go for it. So, yeah, we could see something pretty cool today, that's for sure.
Great. Well, we move now into the men's field, 5 men. And what a tight battle that was for the 5th spot in the final. Edo Morenzi, he emerged on top, but only a single overall point separating him and young Martin Labra. He's opening up his campaign here in the slalom. He'll be starting at 32 off the 13-meter line. And, you know, he has been such a great supporter of the Tour, Dorian. He's making easy work of this opening pass. He was at Lacanau in France. He was in Austria. He was in Calgary. He's been battling it out week in, week out. He's sitting in 2nd or 3rd right now on the Tour rankings, just behind Louis and Joel. But one of these days, the stars are going to align for him. He's going to win an event because he's been the also-ran, you know, always the bridesmaid, never the bride throughout the season. He's such a great young man. He's super talented. I often forget how young he is. He's only, I think, 22 years of age. So bright future ahead of him. Needs to start stronger in the slalom event. I think the last few stops, he's probably gone out there and not skied as well as he can. He's been missing the odd 11 or 38 off. That's a pass he needs to run to stay in contention after slalom.
Yeah, for sure. I think, like you said, you know, he's a guy that can definitely run the 11, and he can get far down the 10.7. I think earlier in the year at Lake 38, he almost ran the 10.7 5-meter line length, and, you know, with a start like that, it would free him up. Just same thing as we were talking about with Gianina. It would free him up going into the trick event, and, you know, I think Edo might be a candidate to go out in the trick event and maybe try to get too much. You know, sometimes you go out there, and overall a lot of times is about consistency, and sometimes Edo goes out there and he's swinging for the fences, but he can solidly trick in the 10,000 point range, but sometimes, you know, he wants the 11,000 point marker.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that stems from the format. So if he goes out in slalom and he hasn't slalomed to his potential, I think he feels he has to swing for the fences. This now is the 12-meter line, 35 off from the western end with the head breeze, and he is all over this pass as he heads from 4 now across to 5. The Italian, the male model from Milan, strokes that 35 off pass.
Yeah, and it kind of shows you also his mentality going into slalom. I mean, you know, we do have a strong wind picking up here, and we talked about how, you know, at times he can miss the 11-meter line length, but he's not backing down from that pass. He's going to do it in this tailwind, and he knows that if he does run it, which, you know, he usually, I would say he's a candidate to run the pass, but if he does, then that sets him up really well for 10.7. And again, you know, it's a bit of that swing for the fences mentality. I mean, if he runs the 11, comes back on the 10.7 and gets really deep or even runs it, now he's in the game for sure.
Well, yeah, I think what he's done is he's looked at the names still to come. So 4 more skiers. Tobias Georges, under 21 world champion, won that title just a few months ago in Mexico. Martin Coleman, former world overall champion. Louis Duplan-Fribourg, who's, you know, he's right up there at contention with yourself and Joel right now in terms of top scores. He's really, you know, stamped his mark in world overall skiing. And then Joel Poland, who's been untouchable all season. So he knows he's got to take risky moves. He's going to have 38 off, 11 meters now with the tail breeze. A must-run pass for him. You know, it's not super strong out there. We just saw Gianina set a personal best. Critical, though, he gets a good start. The Italian comes out of 1. He's looking good so far as he crosses out of 2 ball. He's on time and early for 3. He's all over this pass so far, folks. He needs to stay in the fight, though. He breaks at the waist out of 4. He's in trouble here. He fights through. He's going to run the pass. Heart in the mouth stuff, though. I thought it might have been all over out of 4 there.
Yeah, he had a bit of a smile coming out of the gate there, shaking his arms or his hands a little bit, and
the old lefty curse almost blew 4 ball.
Yeah, exactly. But you know, really good start here, and just, you know, got himself in a really good spot, just even getting into the line length, and then here coming into 4 ball, everything looks in good contention, and then just bends at the waist and, you know, almost loses it. But there you have that tricker mentality that I can get out of anything and I can recover. And you know, it doesn't panic at 5 ball, comes into 6, no problem.
Yeah, well, the water ski gods were smiling on him yesterday when he pipped Martin Labra by 1 overall point. Closer than the boarding house scrape of butter, that was. And they have smiled on him once more, I'd say, here in the Slalom event. He's run 11 meters, 38 off with the tail breeze. He's set himself up now for the money pass. Now, he's yet to run this pass in tournament, but he's a skier that's capable of it. Could we see him match Gianina? Could we see a personal best? First and foremost, though, his goal is going to be to get down this pass. I think he wants 3 or 4, and he'll feel good about today. Anything less than that, he'll feel like he left something on the water. Edo Morenzi, the Italian, battling it out all season on the WorldWaterSkiers Overall Tour. This is the crunch pass, 10.75, 39.5 off. It's a good one. He's looking the good so far. A little bit of a slow 2, but he's still on the hunt. He gets outside 3. He's going to S-turn. Yeah, 1 was good. Maybe not the 2 he needed. Again, he's a lefty. It's a struggle for him. And took the safe option at 3. Probably the smart call.
Yeah, for an overall tournament, those are the decisions that, unfortunately, you know, sometimes you have to hold yourself a little bit back. And every quarter buoy, every half a buoy can be such a big difference, especially, you know, maybe that was more of a decision not for the win, but for a podium, but you never know what's going to happen in overall. So he's just banking on a good score right now. And like you said, coming into 2 ball here, this is where he kind of loses it. And yeah, just a slow 2, might have been a bit narrow. That headwind might have gotten him coming into the buoy. And, you know, then he comes into 3 a little bit late, you know, high on speed, not a lot of angle. And that's where he realizes, okay, I'm going to get as many buoys as I can. Instead of falling at this buoy, I'm going to take the full. And yeah, you can tell afterwards that he wasn't totally excited about it, but I think, you know, along with some of the other girls, he'll be in good shape going into trick and jump, so he'll be happy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's a little bit negative, but the dynamic often as an overall skier is really just not to screw up, because you have to have those bankable scores in all 3 events, particularly when you're a guy like Edo or Tobias Georges taking to the water, where you know that if everyone skis to their best, there's no way you're catching Joel. So really your job is to go out there, put out bankable scores in all 3 events, and hope that there's some sort of mishap like we almost saw from Joel yesterday. I believe to open up, this is going to be the 13 meters 32 off. Yep, for Tobias Georges, the Argentinian. Of course, under 21 world overall champion currently. And real hooks up pretty aggressively there out of 3, but I think that might just be the way he skis in the end. No troubles at all at 13 meters. But yeah, took out that title a couple months ago down in Mexico. Was a pretty tight battle between him and Martin Labra.
Yeah, and Tobias has been coming on really strong in jump in the last year and a half. And I know he loves jump. I think it's his favorite event, but I think he does genuinely love all 3 events for overall. But, you know, I think if he gets through slalom with a score at 10.7, he has a solid trick score. I think we're going to see him bouncing around the leg, just super pumped to not only be in his first final of an overall tournament, but also, you know, to be going into his best event, having a shot and being in the game. And yeah, that score that he set yesterday kind of put him a little bit ahead of everybody, and that's, you know, why he was solidly into the finals. But I think, you know, even though it's his first pro final, I think he's going to be wanting to push for that podium and to see what he's capable of, it being his first overall tournament here on the tour.
Absolutely, real talent, of course. Argentina has produced many of talents through the years. Javier Julio, a former world overall champion. I know he does quite a bit of skiing with him, so he's a coach of the Argentinian team. And Tobias Georges, the young up-and-comer out of Argentina, opened at the 13-meter line. This now will be 12:35 off. Got that beautiful head breeze. It's a little bit variable, the wind, but I think Gianina has proven that it is not a trouble. It's certainly good conditions from the western end. This is 12 now, 35 off. He's on time and early as he heads across the 3 now. The Argentinian crunching turn on 3, almost reminiscent of something from a Mike Shaylander. He almost had the elbow on the water, and in the end, strokes that pass, building well throughout the set.
Yeah, solid pass for him. I mean, nothing really that you could say. He looks comfortable out there, and like you said, Gianina definitely proved that the conditions are good out there, even though the wind is, you know, a little bit variable and it's strong. But I mean, I don't think you could argue that it's pretty nice out there right now.
Well, and one of the beauties of being a vertically challenged skier is that you catch a little less wind. You're a little more aerodynamic out there, so the wind probably didn't phase her as much as it would, say, a Chris Parrish.
Yeah, Chris Parrish definitely has more surface area for that wind to hit. But yeah, I mean, you know, on the other side, the headwind, it makes you narrower at each buoy. Even though it is the nicer end, usually people like to have their hard passes in the headwind. The downside of that is that, you know, you slow down and then you're a little narrower at the buoy, and I think we saw that, you know, with Hannah falling at that 4-ball, maybe wasn't comfortable. Paige, same thing. Just if you open up a little too early, and a lot of times, especially for the smaller guys, we get nervous on the shorter line lengths. Open up a bit early, you're a little narrow, and then the closer you are to that buoy and the scarier it is, you know, sometimes you make mistakes and thinking that you're going to maybe hit the buoy or blow out your fin. So, you know, there's positives and negatives to each side, but like you said, Gianina proved it. These guys are probably going to put up some huge scores.
Yeah, this is going to be tough. This now is 11 meters 38 off with the tail breeze for Tobias Georges. He heads across now to 2-ball. It's not a bad start. He's in trouble out of 2. He's in big trouble. He's scrapping his way through this pass. He's narrow. Oh, he's not going to recover. It looks like 4. We'll wait to confirm that with the judges. You know, I don't know how he got the ski outside 3. And, you know, 1 wasn't bad here, Dorian. He just butchered 2-ball.
Yeah, it was a really good start at 1 here, and I think he'll be kicking himself for that, especially knowing, you know, you can get a good turn like that, a bit deep, but I don't think he would have really given him any troubles into 2. But yeah, just sitting back through the ski, maybe also a little bit narrow there, might have opened up early after that big 1, and yeah, he tries to save it here, but you know, you get a little bit down course, especially in a tailwind, and things happen so fast. And same thing with Edo. You know, I think he's probably, I don't know if he got back to the lake in time.
I think that's going to be 3.5 at 11.
But yeah, same thing with Edo. I think might have been a good call to, you know, get that extra half buoy and stop there, and we'll see if they actually give it to him or not.
Okay, we got Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, we're live.
All right, I'm here with Gianina. She just came off the water, 1 at 39, new PB. How do you feel?
I feel amazing. Like, to go out there, and I mean, the conditions are really good. It's a little challenging sometimes with the wind because it's up and down, but it's still really good to ski. I've never run 1 at 39. It's been a lifetime goal, so I'm really excited.
Yeah, that's awesome. We were just chatting about it. Such a great accomplishment. And you're not the tallest in the field, so congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing you in tricks and jump.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Lauren. Head back to dock, pick up our next skier, of course, former world overall champion Martin Coleman. And I think what's been really fun in the last decade or so of overall skiing is that for a really long time, overall skiing was dominated by trickers and jumpers, and slalom really wasn't weighted all that high. I mean, you look at the past overall champions like your father, Jarrett Llewellyn, Patrice Martin, guys like Jimmy Seamers. But, you know, the rules were tweaked about 10 years ago, and I think it brought slalom more to mix. And Martin Coleman is probably one of the first of that new generation that took advantage of that. He's a really strong slalom skier. He's probably not skiing in the form he was a few years ago, but he's a guy that's capable of running 10.75, getting into 10.25, 41 off, opens up really strong there at 13 meters.
Yeah, I know that when I was coming up and Martin and Adam, those guys were, you know, the guys that I was trying to fight with and trying to get there when I was just getting older. And obviously Joel, you know, joined me pretty early on in that fight with them. But I remember watching the scores, and obviously Adam, you know, broke the world record twice. But I remember watching Martin's scores, and all of a sudden Martin would come out with a score at 10-2, and you knew, okay, this is a score that you need to watch because this overall score is going to be huge. And super strong at tricks. You know, he's one of the best trickers in the world. Came in second in Malaysia. But he's always a competitor that can trick 11.5, 11.8, and you know, push towards that 12,000 point range. So when you pair a 10.25 score with a high 11, you know, jumps maybe not his best event, but you know, as we saw yesterday, I mean, he can still put out a 62, 63, 64 meter jump. So that's super strong.
Yeah, I think that was what really excited me with Martin in the qualifying round. So the first time on the tour in 2023, but he was at a few other events last year, and he never really placed that high, and it was his jump that let him down. I know he's working for good skis. He's spent a lot of time in Utah. The seasons are shorter. There's not a lot of access to jumping there. So his jump probably hasn't been where he'd like to be, particularly the last couple of years, but seems like he's found some form jumping over 200 feet yesterday. This is the 12-meter line, 35 off from the western end with the head breeze, and showing why he is all class out there. One of the best slalom skiers in the overall field the last 10 years or so. Big, tall, lanky man out of the Czech Republic. Tidy stuff, runs 35 off.
Yeah, well, and like you said, you know, last year, maybe the first couple stops, not really up to his normal standard. He was in a huge battle with Pol and Edo and himself in Austria to, you know, even make the finals. But then we got here, and this is clearly a site that he feels good at because, you know, last year here, Joel went down early in trick. And then, not that I thought, you know, okay, that's a green light for me, but, you know, I thought, okay, this is good, like, just do my thing, go out there. And then all of a sudden, you know, Martin found his form exactly at the right moment. And he ran, I think, 3.5 or 4 at 39, tricked 11.5. And then, you know, he goes out and he jumps, you know, his 205 or plus. And all of a sudden, I'm in a battle with Martin, and I'm like, okay, this is why he's a world champion, because he can turn it on the flip of a switch. And you know, you can never count him out. That's why it's so awesome, like you said, to see him here in the finals, because, yeah, he might not be in form, but if he finds that form, even within one set, you know, you were talking about another guy added to this title race.
Absolutely. He now will come back from the eastern end, shortened up to 11 meters, 38 off. The first line length where things start to get really tricky. This is real short line skiing. The rope no longer reaches outside the buoys. You have to start using your body around them. With the tail breeze, it won't be easy, even for an accomplished skier like Martin. Looking pretty on time and early, though, as he heads now across to 4 ball. Drop the shoulder a little bit, but it's not bothering him as he heads now across to 5. And he will run this pass, sets himself up, though, for that 10.75, the 39 off with the head breeze. That'll be what he was looking for.
Yeah, he's looking really good out there. I think 135 looks really solid right now. Maybe a little slow at 2.4. He looked like he was a little bit on the heels there, so might have been overshooting the gate. But that turn looks really good. And this is where I thought maybe he was a bit slow, you know, just pulling the handle into his stomach and, you know, maybe having a little bit of a hitch. But he gets right back in at 3, and same little bit of hitch, but a little bit better at 4. So now he's, you know, he's feeling pretty comfortable at 5 and coming in early into 6. I mean, that's a really good pass. Tailwind, you know. Again, an overall skier knows he needs to get through that, so sometimes the nerves can get a little bit of a hold at you at that pass. But I would imagine that Martin feels like we were talking about with Gianina getting to, you know, 38 to 11 meters. Martin probably feels pretty good, but at the same time, he definitely wants to run this next pass.
Absolutely. We're here, of course, in the men's slalom portion of the 2023 WorldWaterSkiers Florida Cup, brought to us by STC, that's Statistics and Data Corporation. Some of our other major sponsors of this event are Huston Cadillac, Buick GMC, Kelsey Trailer, Visit Central Florida, Dellinger Insurance, and of course Performance Ski and Surf of Orlando. And we'll tell you more about each of those sponsors potentially during our next skier, though. This will be Martin Coleman returning at 10.75, 39.5 off, a pass he's capable of running. It's all set in readiness. He's got the head breeze, needs a good start. He's hooked up well out of 1. Has Martin. He heads now across to 3. It was a slow 2. He's in a bit of trouble. Well, 2.5 provisionally. We'll wait to see if he got outside 3 ball. Thought he started okay, Dorian, but didn't get the 2 ball he needed.
Yeah, I mean, oh, here we go. Nice little tick-tock at the end. But yeah, like you said, it looked like he was, you know, really good out of 1 here. We'll see again just to make sure. But yeah, I mean, you know, this is a pass that he definitely wants to run. Coming into 2-ball, you know, head breeze, you can hang on the rope a little bit longer, but that same little bit of stuck that he had at 11, you know, getting him at 39 here. And that's what happens when the rope gets shorter. And, you know, if it were up to me, I'm looking at that 3-ball pretty closely. He doesn't look like he tried to sell it too hard, so he might have known that he didn't get around. And it looks like on the scoreboard we do have a 2 at 10.7. So yeah, didn't manage to get around that 3-ball. And yeah, that's how fast things can happen in slalom. I mean, we've been talking about some of the vertically challenged slalom skiers out here, and Martin definitely is on the taller side. And you know, I think that's why he was probably frustrated, because he knows that he has the goods to run that 10.7, and that's going to put him in a really good spot in this overall. But he's not out of it, but not exactly where he'd want to be either.
No, slalom, slalom and trick, probably equally strong, you'd say. But because he hasn't maybe been jumping as far as we'll see from Tobias or Louis on the water now, opening up at 28 off, it looks like a little bit more conservative than what we've seen from the other skiers. He needed probably a bigger slalom score to feel comfortable. This now is the Frenchman Louis Duplan-Fribourg, 14 meters, 28 off to start with the tail breeze, super tidy stuff. Now, he's obviously made the decision. He wants to play it safe. He wants to take 11 meters with the head breeze, make sure he runs that. And he's happy, particularly now he's seen the scores from the rest of the field, to go out there and try and get a bankable 2 or 3 at 10.75.
Yeah, I mean, definitely, you know, I'm a bit surprised. I know that, you know, Louis would categorize slalom as his weaker event. I mean, he's tricking 12,000 points, and he had the jump in Lacanau, which was 68 meters. So he knows that he's strong in those 2 events, but it is the final stop. He's got 3 second places, and
yeah, it's got to gnaw at you.
Yeah, a little bit. It's a hard decision, and I mean, at the end of the day, you never know what could happen. I mean, you know, we did, like you said earlier, we saw Joel on that first trick in hands. I mean, it can go so quickly, and Louis, you know, that's always one of the overall strategies, is put a score on the board and see what everybody else does. And you know, that's something that's worked with me. It's you know, it's something that worked with my dad. It's how my dad won a world title. It's how I won a world title, is go out there, do your thing, let other people make the mistakes. And you know, maybe that's what he's going for, but you still have to go out there and do it. So before we say anything, let's see what he does.
Yeah, this will just be 13 meters, 32 off now for Louis, because he backed up that start speed to 28 from what we've seen from the other guys. And looking pretty good here as he moves through the second pass. Yeah, just confirming, I apologize, we had mixed information. I believe actually that was 12 meters, 35 off. He did start at 32, so disregard the strategizing Dorian and I've done over the last few minutes. He's going for the win here. He's not looking for a bankable score. He wants to have a crack now at 38 off, 11 meters with the tail breeze, and to really try and push the field with a head breeze 10.75.
Yeah, and like we were saying, you know, he has 3 second places. He's solidified that spot on the podium, and now he wants to go for it.
Yes, and Lauren Morgan's got someone else for us on the dock. Oh, unfortunately, some audio issues there, but we'll be back now with Louis. He's about to come in with the tail breeze now. And we're not super strong, particularly at the start of the pass. It doesn't build till further down the lake, so should be good for a solid start here on the 11 meters, 38 off. The Frenchman trying to win his first event this season. It's been silver all year long, and right now he's looking okay at 11. I wouldn't say it's the prettiest 38 off pass we've seen all day, but it's enough to get all 6 and out the gates.
Yeah, like you were saying, you know, each buoy he lost the line, so he definitely was feeling that tailwind and
didn't panic though. I think that's the key, tailwind skiing.
Yeah, definitely. You want to allow yourself to get down course. The more you get in trouble, and just don't panic, because if you try to crank the turn, you know, you watch here, like you know, 3-ball, a little bit of a wheelie, 4-ball, a little bit of slack, little wheelie. He lets the buoy go by, waits, then makes his turn at 5, and he just gets to 6. You know, maybe I misspoke in saying you want to get down course in a tailwind, but there are times where, you know, every turn, if you try to crank the turn in a tailwind and you're late and you're coming in hot, that's a recipe for disaster. So there is a strategy to letting the buoy go by, let yourself slow down, then make the turn, and then make it to the next buoy. And obviously, you know, at 5-ball, if he does that and he's late into 6, that's okay, because he can take the slack. He's a strong guy. He's going to hold on to it going out the gates.
Okay, let's try again with Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, I'm here with Brooke Baldwin. She won the tour last year. She's injured. We're hoping to see her again next year. How are you feeling? How's recovery going?
Recovery's going pretty good. I'm starting to ski again, which is really exciting, and I love being here and watching everyone, so.
Awesome, it's great to see you here.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thanks, Poochie. And we've just had Louis Duplan-Fribourg. He did the hard work. He ran 11:38 off with the tail breeze. He wanted to set himself up for a good start at 39, and unfortunately didn't probably get the start he wanted here, Dorian.
Yeah, he pulled a little bit long into 1, but he does have the headwinds, so he has that luxury of maybe having a little more speed with the wind slowing him down. But good 1, comes in early into 2, and here just gets a little bit in front of his ski and, you know, puts too much pressure on the tip, and then that's when your tail blows out. And yeah, I think, you know, after all that work they did at 11, I've been there too, where you get through a hard pass and you're excited to get to the next pass, and then you make a mistake early and you're like, man, I just did all that work for not that much of a reward. But at the same time, you know, he's solidly in this game. We'll see what Joel does now, but you know, like we were saying before, Joel has this effect of people expect him to run 10.7. So I think everybody is counting on that, and Louis probably in the water thinking, I didn't do enough right now.
Yeah, I mean, Joel Poland, he's a member of that very exclusive club of people to trick 12,000 points, and he started doing it with some regularity. He joined the 230 club with a 70-meter jump last weekend. I think trick and jump are maybe where he's at his absolute best in terms of the world standings at individual events. But slalom has been the foundation of his success on the WorldWaterSkiers Overall Tour this season. He's not always had the best trick score. He's not always had the best jump score. In fact, Louis often beaten him in both of those 2 events. But every event so far this season, he has come out of slalom, the first event, with a full pass lead. And when you have that full pass lead out of slalom, you can kind of sit back, take it a little more conservatively through trick and jump. I believe this will be 13 meters also for him to start. The Brit, he's such a strong skier across all 3 events, really doesn't have a weakness, and he is stroking this opening 32 off pass.
Yeah, and you know, Joel, it doesn't really matter what he does in certain events. His mindset is usually so strong that, you know, whether it's each round or each event, he can reset. And, you know, he doesn't have too many mistakes anyway, but I remember a couple times on tour last year where, you know, in Austria, he had to borrow some equipment because his equipment got lost. And I remember in the first round, I was slaloming really well, and he ran 39, and I ran, I think, 4.5. And at the time, through practice and everything, I thought, man, I think I got him this time in slalom. And for me, you know, I base a lot of my skiing on consistency. So, you know, when we go into tricks, I'm usually really consistent, and Joel has that big trick potential. And then for him to come out and to forget about something like that, like not having your skis, but then to still put out that same score. You know, we talked about it with Gianina, being able to go out in different conditions, different scenarios, and to always get that score. I mean, it definitely, it weighs on a skier. You know, I speak from experience, and it's the fact that when I'm standing on the dock, I know that there's a good chance that he's going to run 39, and I have to, you know, keep up in that sense.
Yeah, he's a quadruple threat, really. He is capable at a tournament at podiuming in individually in slalom, trick and jump, and in overall. You know, we saw him on the podium in Calgary at the Mastercraft Pro Slalom Shootout. This now is 12 meters 35 off for Joel Poland, and all over this pass so far as he makes his way towards the eastern end of the lake, around 5 to 6 out the gates, and that is great skiing from the Brit. It's been tight though, you know, that undefeated all season, it makes it seem like he hasn't been pushed. We talked about the 1 overall point separating Edo and Tincho to make this final, and Lacanau, the opening stop, it was about the same margin. You know, there was a score that he had to go and jump. He was last off the dock. 0.1 of a meter. That was it. That was it separating him and Louis across all 3 events. The equivalent of, you know, less than a side slide even of a quarter buoy in slalom. So he's been pushed week in, week out. I think he's the kind of guy that thrives off it though. You know, he doesn't want the other skiers to fall and the pressure to be off. I think he knows when other guys go out there and post big scores, that's what inspires him to put in that extra gear. I think it was, you know, this is probably going to hurt you, but I would say that it was the fact that you were nipping at his heels all week that pushed him to that overall record at the Worlds a couple of years ago. You know, I think that tournament, your and his scores were probably the 2 best overall scores ever in a single tournament. I don't think there's much question. He thrives off the pressure. This now is 11 meters with the tail breeze. Again, really strong skier. This wind shouldn't bother him at all. Starts well as he heads now across to 3-ball, the Brit. Been in such great form all season. He's going to cap it off here. He hopes with a 4th consecutive victory on the tour, and tidy stuff at 11.
Yeah, he looked like he was taking it a little easy. Don't know if that's conscious or not, but you know, back to what you were saying about him thriving off the pressure. It's really funny actually because, you know, I grew up not necessarily competing against him all the time. We have a couple years between us. So when I was U17, he was, you know, just in his last year as a U14, but at the same time, I remember at a couple Worlds now, and Adam Sedlmeyer obviously hadn't, you know, skied against him as much, and I remember Adam coming in after his trick run or something, and he's screaming, like trying to get into Joel's head, and I'm standing behind them just thinking, no, like that's not, that's
yeah,
actually
that's gonna
making
egg
it
him on.
worse. Like if I ski well and I know Joel's on the dock, I'm probably not doing anything.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to give him that extra motivation to go out there and to just get that fire, and Joel is a guy that thrives off that.
Okay, and we got Lauren Morgan dockside. Or not. Yeah, it's funny, isn't it? Like every skier thrives in different environments, but you're right. Joel seems like a guy that when other guys are going out there posting big scores, that inspires him. That makes him want to go to that extra level. And that's pretty funny to try and mask the emotions as a strategy. This now is 10.75, 39.5 off. No one has run it so far today. Can Joel be the first? He's got the head breeze. He started well. He's on time as he heads across to 3-ball. He's looking the good so far as the Brit. Can he take a commanding lead out of slalom? I think he will. He's around 5. He's early for 6. And that is one of the nicest 39s you'll see run.
Yeah, that was really good. He's losing the line a little bit out of 2.4, but man, I mean, if he doesn't correct it at 1.35, I don't know how you could correct better than that. I mean, you know, he's getting really good turns on his onside here. He, like I was saying, just a little bit slow here, but I don't think he's worried at all. I know he knows that he can crank this turn, and you know, coming into 5, he has a massive 5 here after a slightly slow 4, and I mean, that's huge to hold on to something like this. I mean, just powering through the wakes there, and yeah, like you said, he's got a commanding lead now, and yeah, let's see what he does here. Just looking to build off that, and like Gianina, pressure's off now. Now he's probably thinking about bigger things than just one tournament.
Yeah, you know, he's been running 39 10.75s fairly consistently, but probably in the last few weeks he's just started getting to a point in terms of his slaloming and form where he's feeling comfortable to turn 2 again. I think he's a lefty, so 2's is offside. It's a struggle for him. Let's see what he can get down this pass. There's not much of a tail breeze. Joel Poland, 41 off. He's around 1. It's a good one. Is he going to turn 2? No, wasn't good enough one. He S-turns, he takes the full 2, but the world record, his score was 2 at 10.25, so he's on pace. And in both men's and women's, it's something just to keep, you know, it's probably too early in slalom. We don't want to speak too soon, but it's something to keep out in the back of our minds.
Yeah, I mean, you know, like we've been saying, his 1.35 is his good side. I think he had maybe a slightly slow gait there. He's maybe going a little conservative with the tailwind and gets probably, you know, a little bit narrow on one, a little bit deep, and also a little stuck. And You know, it makes it hard when you don't have angle at 41. It's hard to get out to that buoy. And I didn't want to say it before because I don't want to be the cranky guy that's not skiing against the guys that I want to compete against. But I didn't think he made it around 2. I'm sticking with that. And like you can see on the leaderboard, he actually did get 1. You know, I didn't want to be that guy.
No,
that's
no,
like,
absolutely.
Oh, yeah, Joel, he didn't make it, but
still a great score. 1 at 10.25. Edo Morenzi, his 3, that puts him in 2nd place, and then Martin Coleman rounds out the leaderboard with 2 at 10.75. And we are going to cut to a quick commercial, and we'll be back with the trick event. Well, folks, we've just seen the slalom. The skiers now will get ready to trick. It's a pretty rapid fire, fast tournaments. All of our 9 athletes will slalom, trick, jump in quick succession. And interesting stuff happening already. Gianina, Bonham, and Meckler and Joel Poland emerging as the front runners after slalom. Of course, Regina, she'll be first in the trick. She had the top score on the women's, but that is to be expected. She wanted to build a buffer after slalom, and she probably didn't get quite what she wanted. And just while we wait for the first skier to come in, it's a great time for everyone to visit WorldWaterSkiers.com. And a reminder, if you have not joined WorldWaterSkiers as a competitor or a fan, you're missing out. Anyone and everyone can join, whether you're a pro, an amateur, a judge, a ski club, or even non-skiers like your mum, dad, grandma, or grandpa can sign up. It's sort of like the Facebook or Instagram of water skiing. It's a platform where everyone can go and make their profile. So please check out WorldWaterSkiers.com. And as you're following along the tournament, it's a way to see the scores. You can check out the athlete profiles, learn more about them, and tune into the webcast as well. And then you can see the replays we're seeing. But interesting, after slalom, Regina has the 1,000 points. She's out in front, as we'd expect. Her score 5 at 10.75 at 39.5 off. But Gianina, Bonham, and Meckler with a personal best is only 75 overall points back from Regina, with that 1 at 10.75, and then there was obviously a bit of a log jam. Paige and Hannah both at 4 ball at 11.25. Paige with a full 4, Hannah with a 3.5. So it's super tight right now. It's anyone's game in the women's. Gianina, though, if she can go out there and trick 10,000 points again, you'd think she's going to glide home to her 4th consecutive victory, potentially an undefeated season on the WorldWaterSkiers Overall Tour. It'd be the first to do it.
Yeah, she would. She was the first woman to win 2 tour stops in 1 year, also 2 in a row. And now she would be the first to take the clean sweep of every tournament. But Yeah, I mean, this is kind of, you know, that territory of overall where, you know, well, a lot of times we talk about when you make a mistake, how do you respond to the next event? But Gianina almost has the opposite. She just had an amazing result, had a PB, and, you know, now you're going into trick. And, you know, not all the time, different people, you know, like different energy levels for trick. I'm a guy that I usually want to keep the energy level a little bit lower, just more focused on the technical aspect rather than getting too excited about, you know, what am I going to trick? And so that is the game. That's the game of overall. Is, again, I said that earlier, you don't want to be too high, don't want to be too low. You just want to, you know, keep an even keel and keep your mind on the game the whole time.
Yeah, look at the jump talent in that towboat. You got Kyle Lee driving, and then Jim Clooney, the cannonball himself, out there barking orders. He's getting some tan here in the Central Florida weather. Boy, I bet they've got some good stories over a couple cold drinks in the VIP, WorldWaterSkiers VIP area and the Red Bull tent. If you're anywhere in Central Florida on your way, I would certainly recommend driving out here and watching these finals. We've got after slalom, like we said, Regina takes the 1,000 points, top score, but Gianina, she's not that far back, only 75 overall points. That's about 3 meters in jump. It's not, you know, a huge margin. And then Paige and Hannah a little bit off the pace from Regina and Gianina, but very strong in trick and jump as well. So that will be a tight battle as well. And then in the men's, of course, Joel Poland, he had the top score, won at 10.25. He takes the 1,000 points. Back from him is Edo. As the way things shook out in the end, he'll probably be quite happy with his 3. At the time, we thought maybe he would have liked to push for more, but that 3 starting to look pretty good. Martin Coleman will be a little disappointed, only picking up 2. Louis, 1.5. Yeah, no, he's better than that, but still a solid score. And then Tobias, that was probably the big upset. He slalom so well yesterday, picked up 3 on the 10.75, and earlier today only managed 3 on the 11. It's going to be tough for him to crawl out of that hole in the trick and jump events.
Yeah, I mean, right off the bat, you know, Edo having a strong start. We talked about how he was a little disappointed yesterday, sitting in second place after slalom. Like we were saying, you know, it gives him that freedom in trick now. And, you know, obviously it's still a final of a pro event, and he wants to go out there and do his best, but it could also be a strategy to go out and to just get a solid score at 10,000 points. And Edo is very capable of the mid to 11,000 point range. And, you know, I think if he does that, then he's setting himself up really well to go into jump and, you know, hopefully get into that 61, 62 plus meter range, which he's also definitely capable of.
Absolutely. We see on screen Natalia Bernardacava, the current overall women's world record holder. She's on site. She's here to make sure that doesn't go down today. I don't know what the rules are on past competitors coming down and dock talking, but I'm sure she'll be trying to fight her way down to the starting dock, as all eyes are on Gianina Bonneman-Meckler, who has started off so strong, won at 10.75, running 11 meters, running 38 off for the first time in tournament, and that's a sensational score from a skier that's only 5'1".
Yeah, that's amazing. And it was funny that we were talking about how, you know, for overall, she's really strong at going out there and just getting the score that she needs to, and she just blew us out of the water with running the 11-meter line length. And yeah, it's again, you know, a commentator's curse. I don't want to start talking about the record and get, you know, off this track of the fact that her first goal out here is to win this tournament, to do the clean sweep. I guess we call it the calendar sweep on the WWS tour, and yeah, just to go home with that $5,000 check with the tour bonus, and, you know, to just be happy with that. But also, you know, I'm sure it's on her mind that the overall record is within grasp.
Yeah, well, for some history, as far as I can ascertain, the last time any water skier clean swept a tour was Carl Roberge in jump in 1996. He won every single jump event, but since then there also hasn't been, you know, an organized tour like this in quite some time. So that's part of it, but it's a very, very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, I mean, last year, you know, Gianina was, first of all, she was hurt, and then also, you know, was getting her green card, so wasn't able to travel as much. And we actually had a different woman win each tour stop. And then on the men's side, Louis won the first stop, then Joel won the next 2, and then I won the last one. So, you know, between the guys and the girls, we had 8 tour stops, and we had 7 different winners.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, eyes to the water, Regina Jacques, potentially the greatest female water skier our sport has ever seen. If you look at what she's achieved in the slalom event, in the overall event, And tricks, no slouch either. She's a former world trick champion, winning back when she was 17 years old, all the way back in 2001, I believe. Probably the weakest of her 3 event these days. She's a good toe tricker, but this isn't the speed we'll see from, say, a Gianina. She's taking a little more conservatively as she moves through this opening toe pass, wrapping in and out of the line. This is good so far from Regina. She'll go outside the wake. A toe wake O is good. She looks to step over the line, sticks the toe line back. Has she got a toe line back-to-back to finish? She does. Not as flashy as we'll see from other girls, but that is a really solid opening toe pass there from Regina.
Yeah, for sure. Man, you must be pretty good at water ski trivia stuff, huh? Like,
I try.
Rattle off these facts really well. But yeah, Regina, you know, I didn't know that she was a former trick world champ. That's amazing because of how good she is at the other events. You know, obviously slalom, she is one of, if not the best slalom skier, female slalom skier, maybe men and female slalom skier of all time. You know, you have Christy Overton Johnson, you have Andy Mapple, you have Nate, you have Will. Like, there's a lot of big names, Wade Cox, but I mean, you can't argue with the track record that she's had. But then to come out here on a trick ski and, you know, to be as good as she is, it's pretty incredible. And starts off with a toe 7, really solid. You know, a little bit slow on the toe 5, but I don't think that the judges should be too worried about that. And does a toe wake front. I wonder if she's going a little bit easier. You know, hasn't been tricking as much. She hurt her knee 2 years ago, I believe. And, you know, coming back in tricks has been pretty tough. This is where I'm a little skeptical. You know, her foot does hit the water there pretty quick. You see a lot of water splashing around. You know, at the end of the day, it is the judge's decision. It's not our decision.
It's going to be a buzzer beater too. So whether it's credit or no credit, the other dynamic is, will it be within the 20 seconds? That's right at the end of the pass. So again, this is not the passes we're going to see from, say, Gianina. Not even the passes we're going to see from Paige and Hannah. But it's solid stuff from her because she's so strong in slalom. She has the lead. She can afford to have a little bit of a buffer and let them slip ahead a little bit in the trick event. And I think you're right, exactly. So she had that knee injury a couple of years ago. Talking to her this weekend, the hardest event to get back into has been tricks. I think it's obviously the most twisting, the most spinning. It's really hard if you're not fully confident in that knee. So that's been the event she struggled with the most post-knee injury.
Yeah, and then that's where you see stuff like, you know, she does toe 5 back, toe wake back, toe wake front, and then toe back. And I mean, it's little things, but when you're so used to having the rhythm, you know, toes, not a lot of people love toes, but when you do a really good toe run, the way it flows, it's really fun. And to have a trick like that where it's so off rhythm, it can really slow you down. So that's part of it. And I'd imagine on the other side, she's not even worried about going as fast as Gianina. She's going out there to do her runs, to get her score that she needs, and then to go into jump and, you know, put it out there with a big one.
Yeah, probably hoping for something up around 8,000 points if she can stand up this hand pass as well. Regina Jacques, one of the greatest our sport has ever seen. So great to have the veteran here on the WorldWaterSkiers Overall Tour coming in for her hand pass. Starts off with some wake 540s, wrapping in another line, not necessarily a handle change. She goes over the line now, the ski line tricks. Comes now into the flips, just the regular and reverse flip. They are good. She flips now, twisting to the back. That's 750 points. She'll finish with just a back to front and a big front flip from Regina to finish. That is a really good hand pass.
Yeah, seeing at the end there, I was gonna say, it looks like her knee's fine because that's a really big landing on that front flip. I mean, you know, she was a little bit bent over there. Not sure if she's just tired or if maybe something's, you know, a little bit sore, but either way, she's definitely going for it out here. And yeah, I mean, she wants this title. And I think also, obviously, you know, she's setting herself up for the Worlds. I'd imagine that an overall world title is still, you know, not only within her grasp, but something that she wants. And solid run, though. I mean, you know, starts off with wake 5 front, wake 5 back, ski line back to back. She's taking her time there for sure. I'm wondering if there was supposed to be a different trick, maybe a ski line back or something, but, you know, moves right into the flips. Obviously, that's where a lot of the high score or high points come from. And, you know, first couple flips really nice, and then this big front flip here at the end. Big landing, but yeah, stomps the landing, throws the fist, and yeah, it's a really good start for her going into jump. And, you know, having a big slalom score as well.
And we've got Lauren Morgan dockside.
Here with Regina Jacques. Okay. Are we good? Okay. Regina, good job. Stood up. I know that feels great. Tell us about it.
No, it's awesome. You kind of live and die in tricks by this event. So just as long as you can get down and back, it's kind of all you can ask for. So, but yeah, no, it feels great. Thank you, Ski Fluid and Red Bull and the Llewellyns and everybody that supported this event. It's fun and it's exhausting. So I'm going to catch my breath to be able to go jump.
Yeah, get ready and we'll see you on the water for jump.
Thanks.
Back to you.
Great to hear from one of the greatest ever in our sport, Regina Jacques, probably getting towards the twilight of her career. She turns 40 next year. I hope she doesn't mind me. It's never polite to say a lady's age, but absolutely incredible that she is still competing at this level, and she doesn't really show any signs of slowing down.
Yeah, to be honest, I was a little worried earlier when I said that she was maybe towards the older end of this field, so I'm a little glad that you might have taken some of the heat off me by saying her age there. But yeah, I mean, I think if anything, you know, that's just a testament to how good she still is, that she's been doing it since, you know, her teens.
She has the passion too and the drive. You know, often people will get to that point in their career and they've won everything there is to win, and it's certainly true of Regina, perhaps more of any other athlete in our sport, but she clearly has the drive, the passion, the determination to continue to train as hard as you have to. You know, it's insane the amount of training it takes to be a high-level overall skier, and Regina, she is putting in the work still, and, you know, while running a business, so incredible from her, and so excited to see her at the World Championships later this year, and hopefully on the WorldWaterSkiers Overall Tour next season.
Yeah, I mean, thinking about somebody like Regina being on every tour stop would be amazing. And like you said, you know, she does have other things in life that she's also doing, like the business and everything. So, you know, there are times where just logistically it doesn't work out. But, man, I mean, could you imagine a year with Gianina, Hannah, Sasha, Regina, I mean...
Paige, yeah.
Yeah, Paige, exactly. All these girls, like Anna, I mean, what we saw yesterday and what we're seeing today, it's so exciting. And the women's overall field is amazing.
Yep, we move now to Hannah Stratslover. Her line control on toes is absolutely phenomenal. She has a big cable skiing background, as many of our Eastern Europeans do. She's actually a former world cable trick skiing champion, and she will show you why here as she comes in rope on toe. Starts off with some toe wake back-to-backs here, looking good, standing tall on the ski, a little bit of shaky there on the toe 5 front. She's regaining composure as she goes outside the wake. Needs the motor throw these last 3 tricks. The toe line O looks good. Over the line a couple more times. The toe step back to back is a little bit shaky. And she finishes there. Stand up past Dorian, but she's going to lose a little bit, both the time and credit, I suspect.
Yeah, and I think that is a testament to her line control. You know, she got a little bit unglued there. Maybe the line was a little bit tight on that toe 5 front, but she's able to still feel the boat. You know, as soon as you lose the feeling of the boat and you're out of position like that, that's when you're going to fall. And she's able to maintain that line tension and able to spin herself out of the toe 5 front. Still, I mean, it is a judge's call. It looks like they're giving her the toe O, but yeah, that's what I would have said, is she still spun out in that toe O, didn't stop, and she's out of position. I mean, you need really good line tension and really good line control to be able to pull that off. And you know, she keeps going, and, you know, like we see here, you did say the toe line back-to-back was a little shaky. Same thing with Regina. It did look like she might have stuck her foot in a bit early. But, yeah, I mean, that is a trick that she fell on yesterday. And so, you know, not necessarily putting herself in a hole, but it is, you know, valuable 480 points that she probably wanted on the board.
Yeah, and she has a personal best just a shade over 9,000 points, so she probably can't pull that out after losing that toe line back-to-back, but with a stand-up hand pass here, she could trick up around 8,500, and that would be a big improvement on yesterday and would give her a real shot. She slalom pretty well, picked up 3.5 on the 11. Needs to back it up with a big score here on hands. And then Regina Jacques, of course, leading the trick event right now with 7,370. It's good tricking from her. Obviously, though, losing a little bit to time. I'd say particularly that last front flip on hands, out of time, costing her. So 7,370 leads right now. It won't stand, though, as we move into our final 3 trickers. One of them, Hannah Stratslover, on the water currently.
Yeah, and that's a solid score for Regina. I know she's capable of more, but, you know, she's probably pretty happy with that, especially not having, you know, tricked as much in the last couple of years and fighting through some of that discomfort through each trick. But, yeah, I mean, you know, Hannah is definitely the best jumper in the field, but Regina obviously a really good jumper as well. So she set herself up well, and Hannah knows that, you know, like you said, if she can trick in the 8,000 point range, same thing. She's going to go into jump. She's going to feel really excited about where she's at.
Yeah, she'll be eyeing up this head breeze, salivating, I would say, as she comes in here for a hand pass. Hannah Stratslover, originally from Belarus, been living and training in the US now for a number of years, skiing under the IWF banner. Coming in here for her second 22nd trick pass. Starts wrapped into the line, a wake 540, and it's unraveling to start. She goes into the flips now. This is good so far, just the regular back flip and reverse. The back landings, those are worth a lot of points. A back to front is good. She stays backwards now for the mob, the 360-degree rotation. That's a stand-up pass from her. I'd say she's going to look to go over 8,000 points. About 30 seconds worth of tricking, Dorian. I'd say those last ones were just for practice and for the crowd.
Yeah, it's funny, I do that sometimes in practice, you know, but I do it because you want like a couple extra tricks at the end of your trick run. Maybe then you get to a tournament and without those tricks, you feel like, oh, this isn't as bad. I don't have those 2 tricks. But yeah, I don't think she's expecting to get those last couple in time. But that was a solid run and starts off, you know, gets the wake 5s out of the way and then goes straight into the flips. And, you know, some people have a couple more tricks before, some people have the flips first and then, you know, goes into the ski lines and stuff after. But that was really solid, and that mob at the end, 800 points, that's a big trick that, you know, is going to be really valuable down the road in this tournament.
Okay, we head back to the dock. We will pick up our next tricker, which will of course be Canada's Paige Rini. Probably didn't have the performance in slalom she was looking for. She got 4 at 38 off at 11.25. It's still a solid score, but because slalom, she's so strong in that event, she would have liked to have run that pass, tried to get up there and match the scores we saw from Gianina, and maybe even push close to Regina. Now, she tricked really well yesterday in the qualifying round, up over 9,000 points. She's probably going to need a repeat of that today, though, if she wants to stay in the hunt for the top of the podium.
Yeah, I mean, the way that the girls have started so far, you know, Regina running 5 at 39 and Hannah having 2 stand-up trick runs, and I think Paige knows that this is going to be a fight not only for the win but even just for the podium. So you can't slip up at all, and 9,000 points is a really good trick score, and that's never a given. You know, you fall on one trick, you mess up anywhere, lose a trick at the end, and you slip below that 9,000 point score before a heartbeat. And I think she's definitely capable of it. She's been super solid, especially, you know, last 4 or 5 years. She's been challenging those top spots, and I think repeatedly at the Worlds over the last 3 Worlds, she's been within, you know, the top 6 and fighting for that podium spot. So she's definitely capable of putting on a huge score here. I wouldn't necessarily say getting herself back into the overall race because, you know, she is in it right now, but like we've been talking about, everybody has their weaknesses, and right now, Paige's would definitely be the jump event.
Yeah, she needs to go into jump with a lead or some sort of buffer if she wants to have a shot at winning. She jumped pretty well yesterday in qualifying. She went up about 47, 48 meters, which is really strong skiing for her. But she, you know, she'd be the first to admit she doesn't have it in the tank to jump the 55, the 180 that we could see from Hannah Stratslover or even Regina if Regina were to get it all together.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of the wild card here is Regina, you know, maybe she had a bigger jump or a bigger slalom score yesterday, but her jump score after that crash definitely wasn't as big as she could go. So, you know, I think everybody's on alert to see what Regina's doing every single time because she is the first on the water. But at the end of the day, in overall, you need to go out, you need to do your own thing because each individual event is its own game.
Yeah, so we talked about, you know, Regina being the veteran of the field. Hannah, she's probably in the prime of her career right now. Paige, she's the young up-and-comer, the youngest girl we have out here on the water today, still in her early 20s and looking to sort of stamp her mark on the world stage. She comes in for her opening toe pass, wrapped up here for a toe 720, and just bobbles a bit on the toe 5 out, so she hasn't started as strong as she'd like. She moves through these toe surface turns. Beautiful toe 5 front toe out. That's a trick that she come unstuck on at some past tournaments. Over the line for the toe wake line 360. Quick flipping toe back, toe front into toe line back to back. And that's a stand-up pass for her. Maybe a couple of those toe lines were pretty low, pretty close to the water. it's going to be a tight call from the judges, but stand-up pass, you can't ask for a lot more than that.
Yeah, standing up's always good. I think you called it. That toe fight back, if it were up to me, probably would be a toe out, toe back. So she's going to lose some valuable points there, but you know, she didn't let it phase her, kept moving through it. So she did a really good job there.
Great, so let's go back to Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, we're here with Tobias Georges from Argentina. This is his first stop on the overall tour. How are you liking it?
Well, I've been doing pretty good. I'm happy to be competing for the first time here. And it's also pretty exciting to be in the finals, so having fun.
Yeah, great job. First stop and first final. Congratulations. We're looking forward to seeing you in trick and jump.
Yeah, I'll try to do better than slalom this time. I'm strong.
All right, well, good luck.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Okay, Paige Rini down at the eastern end, just swapping out skis and equipment. Skiers will often use a different ski for hands and toes. And of course, they'll change the line so they can put their foot in the handle. This now will be, of course, the hand pass for Paige. Stood up on toes, a couple little bobbles, but I would say with the stand-up hand pass, she's still on track to trick up around 8,500 points. That's about what we think we've seen from Hannah Stratslover. That will put them ahead of Regina in the trick event. Now, Regina does have a bit of a lead in the slalom, so it'll be tight to see where they finish up in the overall standings going into jump. Gianina, though, if she can trick big, we assume will take the lead going into jump.
Yeah, definitely. You know, there's a bunch of different strategies, like we keep saying, in terms of overall, but Paige's only concern right now is standing up this run. And, you know, I would say that she's probably wanting to get everything in time. But at the end of the day, standing up is the most important thing. If you do happen to lose that last trick, for Paige, I do believe that it will be the MOB. So it is 800 points. So, you know, that is on her mind as we get more and more through these flips. You know, she might start to think, okay, I need to either make up time or I have enough time that I can relax. But, you know, she wants to get that last trick in, but first and foremost, stand up, get the score, and then move on.
That's right. The 23-year-old Canadian does most of her skiing here in Central Florida. She'll be very at home in these conditions, coming in for her second trick pass. Stood up the toes, wants to back it up with a solid performance on hands. We'll start with a ski line back-to-back over the line. Some quick spinning wake 540s. Solid stuff here as she transitions into the highest scoring flips. The regular and reverse backflip are good. She goes now into the half twist, stomps the landing, quick transition now into the reverse. She has the MOBs, like you say, Dorian. These are critical. She stood up. That's a really good pass. What do you think? Are we going to get all that in 20 seconds?
I think so. She looked really solid. You know, she was starting to get a little bit wide on those last couple flips. Each flip, you know, it seemed like she got a little bit farther out on the spray. It's actually, it's pretty good that she did the MOB that solidly, because sometimes, you know, like we were talking about with Regina, you know, you switch up a trick or you do a trick differently, and sometimes that rhythm can get really thrown off. And even something as small as being a little bit wider, it just makes the wake look farther, and you start to second guess where you're going to end up when you do that MOB. And so yeah, to be able to still, you know, have the wherewithal to go through that MOB, edge through the top of the wake, and to land it that solidly, that's really good.
Absolutely. Hannah Stratslover's score came through 8,170. And that puts her pretty even with Regina. So after their two scores, Regina is leading the overall right now still, but she only has about a 40-point lead on Hannah going into jump. So Hannah's probably feeling pretty good about that. She's thinking, you know, 40 overall points, that's about 1.5 meters. She probably backs herself to put that on Regina. It's still to be seen where Gianina will finish up. She hasn't tricked yet, and then Paige just waiting on that score to see where she lands in the overall. She'll be looking for a lead right now. She'll want to be ahead of Regina and Hannah going into jump, because she knows they have her certainly by a few meters in the jump event.
Yeah, for sure. And, you know, like we've been talking about, Hannah just did her job. She went out 8,170. She's closed that gap after slalom, and like you said, she's going to feel comfortable going into jump. And on the other side, you know, Regina is somebody that can go 170, 175 plus. So if Regina does put one out there, we're going to start to see the fireworks go off, because Hannah's going to know that she needs to go in the 180 range. And definitely capable of it. Went 183 yesterday, but I think.
Yeah, you know, one thing you didn't see from watching the replay of yesterday is that Hannah did not make it into the finals for her third jump. So her first 2 jumps didn't go as well, and she made everyone on site a little bit nervous, sneaking out on her third and final jump. This now, though, is the in-form overall skier in the world. She's undefeated so far on the tour, and tricking has been the foundation of her success. She's one of only 5 women to ever trick over 10,000 points, and she's starting to do it with some real consistency as she opens up rope on toe. Gianina bottom of Mekla, this is a really good start. Great line control as she moves through the first tricks. A little big on the reverse toe back-to-back. Needs to regain composure. She wraps in and out of the line. Grabbing the rope now outside the wake. Here are the toe steps. Toe line O is shaky. She almost falls. She'll lose that trick. Toe line back is good. Needs to regain composure. Oh. She stands up. She'll go back to the far end with dry hair. But she's lost a couple tricks there, Dorian.
Yeah, I think something like that, you know, that's when you really start to see the game plan of overall. You know, could she have maybe gotten to that toe line back a little bit faster after the toe line O? Yes, but she did the most important thing, which was stand up toe line O, stand up toe line back. And yeah, maybe she gets that toe line back in at the end. Maybe it's out of time, but
absolutely.
I think she'll be happy.
Let's go dockside with Lauren Morgan.
All right, we're here with Hannah. Hannah, 2 stand-up passes. How are you feeling?
I'm glad I stood up. I'm happy with my score. It just depends what's credit, what's not. I'm happy with my slalom score and excited for jumping.
Yeah, we're all looking forward to seeing you jump. It's your best event. Jumped well yesterday. Tell us a little bit about that set.
First 2 jump weren't that good. I had everything on the 3rd one. I hope to do better today, and it's a nice headwind, so I'm looking for it.
Well, good luck, and we look forward to seeing it. Back to you all.
Yeah, cheers, Poochie. And a score coming through from Paige. You know, she lost a couple tricks on toes, Dorian, but still very close to 9,000 points, 8,930. And that's going to put her pretty close to the lead right now. In fact, I think it probably does put her in the lead in the overall. Now, Gianina bottom of Mekla had some bobbles on toes, but with a stand-up hand pass now, she's still well on track to finish the event as the leader, both in the trick event and then in the overall, because she slalomed so well earlier.
Yeah, and you see there that not only did she get that toe line O credit and in time, but she got the toe line back and does lose the toe line back-to-back, so that is 480 points. But at this stage with that slalom score, the first priority was, you know, get that score, stand up, you know, try to win this tournament. And I mean, in terms of the overall record, she's still in the race. She really has to stand up this run and get every trick in time. But I would say that at this point, that's not even on her mind. It's just do all my flips the right way and let's go to the dock with some wet hair.
You know, money talks in the end. She's looking for that paycheck. She wants to be on top of the podium and take home the biggest cut from this event. Gianina bottom in Mekla, one of the best women's trickers in the world right now, coming in for a hand pass, and this is probably her real strength. Like you said watching the pre-show, she's a great front flipper, just opening up with some wake 540s, little of a bubble there, regaining quickly though, and into the big front flip. She'll follow it up with the reverse, stomps the landing, straight now into the back landings. These are good. She's transitioning pretty fast here, a little of a bobble there now into the mobe. She'll have one more to finish, sticks the landing. It's good. I don't think she's quite going to crack 10,000 points. I think it's something that's going to finish up in the high 9s for her, just losing a couple pieces here and there. But solid tricking from her, enough to take the lead going into jump.
Yeah, it was interesting. You know, I saw a little bit of a hitch after the half twist going into that mobe, and you saw it as well. And you know, it was a bit of an interesting landing because she turned a little late and she landed really heavy. So, you know, that could have been one of those things where if you rush it, you fall. And again, having really good mental awareness, you know, maybe taking that split second to come forward and then turn back again. And based off the unofficial time that we had up here, it looked like her last mobe was still in time. I know that last mobe sometimes can be on the bubble, but she did a lot of good work, and, you know, the rhythm of the start could let that last mobe still be in time. And, you know, whether she gets it or not, I don't think it's going to be crazy important coming out of this. It'll make things definitely closer, but she has built up a solid lead.
Yeah, reviewing it right now, It's going to be pretty close whether it ends up in time. It's a pretty big swing, like you said, 800 points. So with it, she tricks 9,500. Without it, she tricks 8,700 as things stand right now.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, that's a big difference, and it might not make her as comfortable going into jump, but I would imagine that she would still have a nice lead and would be looking pretty nice going into jump. But that being said, you know, Regina did say that you live and die by the trick event and overall, and Gianina may have slightly cracked the door open a little bit, but it's going to still be up to our girls to go out there and, you know, take advantage of that.
Yeah, and I think the reason for that is slalom, you get some warm-up passes. So even if you have a really bad day in slalom, you're probably still going to run your 32, your 35. You know, maybe you start having troubles at 11 or 10.75. Jump, you get the 3 attempts. So you've always got 3 chances to post a score. But in trick, you know, one mistake, particularly if it happens early in your pass, that can cost you. We saw Joel Poland yesterday in the qualifying round very nearly fall on his first trick. You fall on your first trick, that entire pass scores 0, and there's no way for you to regain that on a single pass. So that's why trick is the most cutthroat, because absolutely everything you do matters. Slalom, you get those warm-up passes, you get to build a foundation. Jump, you get 3 attempts, but tricks, the most cutthroat, and I think, yeah, Regina's summing it up perfectly. You live and die by the trick event. We move now into the men's. This will be Edo Morenzi coming in to open up his trick campaign. He slalomed pretty well. He was sitting in second after the slalom event and needs to back that up with a trick score here. And Dorian, like you said all season, he looked like he's just gone searching a bit in the trick event. He's trying to post that score over 11. Do we see a change of tack here where he maybe just is a little more conservative, looks for that bankable 10,500 point trick score? He'll open up rope on toe. And looking good so far as he makes his way through his rope on toe pass. Wrapping in and out of the line, super smooth, grabs the rope, he's going over it now. Nice crisp toe line tricks, getting plenty of height. Toe line back-to-backs, just taking that extra pause here. I think he is going a little more conservative. Beautiful toe line 5 to finish. He fell on that at the end. The toe line front maybe a little questionable to finish the run out, but that's solid tricking from Edo. And you know what, one of the interesting things about tricking is that sometimes when you're trying to go fast, you end up going slower, because it's not the tricks themselves that get you, it's the time in between the tricks. So as long as you're doing the tricks really well, comfortably, you actually end up having really fast transitions. So great stand-up pass. The judges are reviewing a few of those toe step tricks.
Yeah, you can see right away that the judges are, you know, looking pretty critical, and like you said, you know, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. I've had plenty of times where, you know, I went out to do my small toe run, and, you know, whether or not I was rushing at the beginning in a harder run and then making mistakes, or like you said, you know, it's those little times in between tricks. And sometimes when I went to do my easy run, I actually did it fast enough to where if I had done my hard run, I would have gotten the trick in time. But then you turn around and you do your hard run and you rush it a little bit, and you actually end up losing that trick. So there's definitely, you know, that mentality, and yeah, I mean, Edo just did it really well. I mean, like you said, couple tricks, but overall really good.
Great. And we've got Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, here with Joel Poland. He ran 1 at 41 earlier today. Going to go out and trick soon. How are you feeling?
Feeling pretty mellow at the moment. I'm about to go for a little warm-up and hopefully get the blood pumping. But yeah, feeling good. I mean, it's a nice slalom score, so it sets me up good to just ski good today, you know?
Yeah, totally. And we are going to see you jump later. 2:26 yesterday. Yeah. What's the goal today?
Well, yesterday there was no headwind, and today there is. So I'm hoping I can get a good jump in, and I don't know how far I'm trying to go. I'm just trying to make it feel good. And yeah, when there's a headwind like this and, you know, we're out at Fluid, boat's looking good, hopefully we can get some nice scores.
Yeah, well, we're looking forward to seeing that. Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Back to you guys.
And like in Forrest Gump, that's all he had to say about that. Edo Morenzi coming back in for his hand pass. And this is his real strength, the hand pass. Stand-up toe pass, he has lost a few tricks to the judges, but he is a super strong front flipper. You know, he typically has a run with up to 3 front flips in it. And this will make or break his performance in the overall this next 20 seconds. Edo Morenzi, the male model from Milan, looking to see if he can't climb up the leaderboard. He's been in 3rd or 4th at every event so far this season, looking to crack into that winner's circle. 20 seconds away now from potentially doing that as he comes into course now, opening with the Mobe, the 360-degree rotation and the backflip. Back to back now, straight into, back to front flip. Oh, he's struggling here. He's regaining composure. He's almost gone down on flip number 3. He's butt checking there. He's fighting away. He's not sure what to do. Some wake 540s, ski line at the end. And this is pretty agricultural from the Italian. Started off strong with those Mobes, Dorian, but that half jack almost cost him.
Yeah, that was weird. I don't remember him ever making that mistake. It just, you know, it looked like he came forward a little bit too early, and a lot of times when you see guys do that, their ski catches the water and then they flip really low, but that didn't look like it was his problem. It just looked like maybe, you know, he slid at the beginning and didn't get that pop and went a little bit off axis. But yeah, really uncharacteristic, especially, you know, you said he was a really good front flipper. I typically, when I watch him, just, yeah, in general, good front flips, good flips as a whole. And that was, yeah, you can see he's disappointed, especially something that he's known for being really good at. And, you know, did a lot of the work, but yeah, I mean, even, you know, the half jack, the switch front, they're calling it no credit. So it does look like he probably pre-turned it, and that's what caused him to slip out and not get any of that air. And really uncharacteristic, you know, to see somebody lose a flip. It is definitely possible between front flips, you know, when they're a little off axis and they end up getting called as no credit front flips, or if you slide the beginning of a Mobe or something like that, or you under rotate a flip in terms of the 180 degree. But even though it's possible, it is, you know, all these guys are usually so good at it that flips are usually not the thing that they lose. But, you know, let's take another look at it here, and really nice start with these Mobes. I mean, he does these so well, gets a lot of air, and, you know, they're just weird. Just doesn't really get that snap off the top. But, you know, thought that we kind of got his composure back here, and then right here, maybe a little bit low, just lands right on the tail of the ski. And at this point, he's trying to salvage the run and make up as many points as he can. And this is still his typical run. The ski line back, normally not really what he does, but, you know, at that point, he's just trying to get as many points as he can in. And that is a skill in of itself, to be able to make a run when you make a mistake like that. And, you know, a lot of times in practice, you'll have people that they make a mistake and they stop. But a lot of these top guys, you know, we go out there, and if we make a mistake, we try to see what we can still make out of the run, because you never know. And that's definitely not what you want to plan for. You know, you hope for the best, but you plan for the worst.
Yeah, some of the most entertaining footage of tricking as well. I mean, you invented a new trick at the Swiss Pro earlier this year when you had a bit of a bubble, so love to see that sort of thing from the athletes.
Yeah, I definitely did the hardest way possible that you could get a wake 5 front.
Tobias Georges now, the Argentinian, did not have the best of days on the slalom skis, in a bit of a hole right now, needs to claw his way out with a solid stand-up tricking performance. He opens rope on toe, starting with the typical toe 5 back, toe 8 back-to-back sequence we'll see from a lot of these athletes, wrapping in and out of the line now, looking pretty calm and composed. He makes his way outside the wake now. Oh, geez, almost going down on that toe wake back. Recovering now, toe line back-to-back. He's missed the wake. This is not going to script for Tobias Georges. And unfortunately, he's going to lose most of the tricks at the far end of that run. And it was funny, of all tricks to throw him off balance, he does a toe wake back there. A lot of the skiers will see do a toe line O out of the toe wake O. He did toe wake back, and he almost came unstuck on that pretty basic trick.
Yeah, like you said, you know, the start was really good. Everything green over here on the left side of our screen. And, you know, towards the end, just, yeah, weird trick. Same thing with Edo, like a trick that normally wouldn't catch you off guard. And maybe he's just, you know, undervaluing every, you know, you can't undervalue any trick. Every trick is hard in and of itself, even something like a toe wake back. And if you try to rush that, you know, like you were saying before, actually, you know, each trick, you can only do it as fast as is humanly possible. But it's the transition between tricks. And there you can tell that he's probably already thinking about the next trick and not valuing that transition. And, you know, you do something like that, it throws you off, and then you lose a bigger trick. So, you know, you can never take your mind off the game in tricks, that's for sure.
Absolutely, yeah. To your point, that toe wake line back-to-back, he actually did it, a really nice trick, but because his timing was off, he completely missed the wake. So he's losing that trick, not because he did anything wrong necessarily, he just didn't cross the wake, which is a requirement to have it scored.
Yeah, I know, for sure. And I would imagine that, you know, that is considered the harder of the 2 toe line back-to-backs. I'd imagine after that one, he usually does the other one. But, you know, he realizes as he does the first one that he's not inside the wake. So the only thing left to do is to do something else. And like you said, it kind of makes things a little more entertaining. And you see the hands go around everywhere. He's just trying to figure out, what should I do? I still have some time left on the clock. And, you know, I do think that he mitigated some of the damage. You know, it wasn't as bad as, you know, maybe we were talking about it at the beginning. He did lose that toe line back-to-back, but he did still get a lot of valuable points there.
Great, and we've got Tobias Georges about to come back in for his hand pass. Yeah, I love at the end of the tow run when people start looking like one of those big inflatables out front of a car dealership, the wacky wavy inflatable arm man. And Tobias Georges had some shades of that towards the business end of that tow run. He'll spin around now at the eastern end, come back in with the head breeze for his hand pass. Very strong flipper.
Yeah, really strong. I know he might be upset if I say this, but you did say the wavy man. I was thinking about the Bob Marley skit where he talks about Stephen Neveu being the big wave man. So, but yeah, you know, Tobias coming back in on his hand pass, he's really strong here. And, you know, we talked about how tricks might be one of his weaker events, but he's a really strong tricker in and of itself. And I think,
yeah, weak compared to a Joel Poland or a Louis, but on the world stage, or even the context of overall skiers, he's a very strong tricker. Of course, under 21 world overall champion. Took out that title a couple months ago in Mexico. First appearance here at a pro overall tournament, but a name to watch in the future as he comes in for his hand pass. Straight away into the mobe and its reverse. Pretty quick transitions here. Nice clean landing on the front flip. And makes his way through some more basic tricks. Back landing to back to front is good. He'll have some ski lines over the line to finish. And wrapping in and out of the line, wake 540s, and solid stuff there from the Argy Bargy.
yeah, and good start there. Interesting, I don't know if he normally cuts out and cuts back into the wakes, but might have, you know, cut out towards that Red Bull buoy that we have down there, and maybe, you know, decided to go for another chance and maybe not run into that buoy.
Okay, we got Lauren Morgan dockside.
Testing. All right, here with Edo Morenzi from Italy. How did you do? 2 stand-up passes. How are you feeling?
I didn't feel so great. Pulled my hamstring like a week ago, so in toes was kind of hard to keep my leg together. But and hands, like, doesn't really happen that I messed up flips. And when it happened, like, I didn't really know what to do. I tried to like fix it as quick as I can, but like, it's all right. Slalom was good, so hopefully for jump.
Yeah, we have a really nice headwind. Are you excited about that?
Yeah, I'm really excited. After this tricking, I'm ready to fly pretty long.
All right, well, we're excited to see you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Edo. And for our female fans around the world, I'm sure they enjoyed those webcast shots of Edo Morenzi, the male model from Milan, shirtless on camera. And I think he's been pulling in a lot of viewers over the season.
Yeah, for sure. You know, it's one of the beauties of our sport is that everybody's pretty fit that does it, and you know, that's something that should be bringing in a lot of viewers around the world, whether it's male, female, and yeah, it's a nice thing. It's, you know, first and foremost, water skiing, I would say, is about being on the water with friends and family, but you know, everybody being in bathing suits and bikinis doesn't hurt either.
Yeah, they say look good, feel good, ski good.
That is a really good point, actually. But yeah, you know, interesting that we talked about flips earlier, and Tobias actually got his first mobe cut. So I'd imagine that the judges saw that right as he was coming in, right towards the end of the takeoff on his first mobe, that his ski turned forward. And you know, that does happen. It's hard to hold that reverse back. It's a kind of an awkward position coming into the wakes, and a lot of times if guys are too excited to do that first flip, they slip out. And a lot of the same as with Edo, you know, you don't get as much air, and we did see that he landed pretty heavy on the second one and got really well back into that run. The second mobe was really good. The front flip was huge, and I mean, that was as straight a front flip as you can do, and rest of his run really solid. Probably didn't mean or want to do a regular flip after the front flip. I would imagine that normally he would do that half twist, but yeah, you know, that's a split-second decision. Again, it's what sometimes we call those business decisions, because he's thinking about the long term instead of the short-term value of one flip. And yeah, you see that at the end, he still stands up the run, gives us a little fist pump, and I think he'll, like we were saying earlier, you know, he's going into his favorite event now, and he'll be excited to see what he can do in jump.
Yeah, it's interesting you talk about those split-second decisions that you make as a tricker sometimes to adjust tricks. that's a real skill. A lot of people, they get thrown off. So as soon as they start second guessing their run, it can really mess with them. I actually think back to that World Championships that you won in the trick event, and I think that happens a lot when the scores are lower and people start falling, as it becomes a bit of a contagion, because the skiers off the dock start realizing, you know, I don't have to do my A run here. Maybe I can back off. And as soon as you start second guessing yourself out there in the middle of a run, that can throw you off. So that's a real skill. Some skiers have it, not everyone does.
Yeah, it definitely goes both ways as well. When the score's lower and you're not sure, you know, is this trick worth it or not, you second guess it. Or on the other side, you know, over the years, I think I've benefited from Pato a lot, where guys are chasing that 12,000 point score and then they don't back off those big tricks.
Yeah. Okay, Martin Coleman now. We move through our men's overall field. Didn't slalom as well as we would have liked, but he's a very strong tricker, capable of going in excess of 11,000 points. He opens now with a toe 720, wrapping in and out of the line. And this is a pretty solid start here from the big, tall, lanky man out of the Czech Republic. Lightning quick toe wrap in, toe out tricks. He goes over the line now. Another low toe line O. The boys are struggling a little bit out there, and the toe line 5 is big, and I don't know who his release person is, Dorian, but I think that might have been a touch early on the release.
Yeah, I think they might have, you know, a word or two after the event. Right now, I think Martin will try to shake that off, but you know, really good start here. As we can see on the left side, you know, everything so far looks really good from our judges. Toe 7 really fast, moves straight into toe 5 back. Toe back-to-back reverse. I mean, he looks really on for not having been skiing in a lot of tournaments. And you know, his toe 5 front is one of the best in the game. Moves straight through toe O, and you know, toe line O was a little bit low, but it's actually, I really like his toe line O, toe line 5, because his toe line O, a lot of times he spins it with his arms out, and that slows him down. And then when you watch him do his toe line 5, instead of having his arms by his side, he puts his arms across his body, you know, to get that extra little bit of like less moment of inertia, and he spins faster. And that's when I've, you know, analyzed his trick videos, that's the only major difference. He doesn't look like he's going much harder, but it's just hands out versus hands in, and the hands in allows him to spin that little bit faster. But you know, does seem to be Pipe in the boat, so you know, that is another guy that's really strong. He definitely has the strength to hold on to that pin. But yeah,
I mean, it's tough. He looked out of sorts. I don't know that he would have landed that toe line 5 back. You know, he probably was gone, but he did land in a square back position, and often you can pull out a pretty big hits in that position. So that's a tough one. You know, unsung heroes of the sport, release people, I'd have to say. It's one of the toughest jobs. I'd say, in my experience, I am more nervous releasing for people in tournaments than I am actually skiing in tournaments a lot of the time.
Oh man, yeah, definitely, I would agree with that statement. Like, I know a couple years ago when my dad decided that he was going to ski in Moomba with me, that, you know, I was way more nervous for him for pinning than I was when I skied. And I think straight up off the dock, put a knot in the rope. It was a good start. And then, you know, he gets up, and somehow, whether it was my fault or somebody else's fault, I keep trying to tell him it was somebody else, the speed was 1 mile an hour too slow. So I had a really, really solid start to my pinning career there, and I just remember him coming into course, and my dad's just giving me the go faster sign nonstop, and then yeah, you know, we turn around on the other end, I'm freaking out. You got to switch the skis, you got to get the ropes ready, you got to get the speed right, and a lot of times skiers also have speed changes while they're skiing. So there's a lot of things that you have to do while you're in the boat, and like you said, definitely the unsung heroes of the sport.
Yeah, well, as you can probably see on the picture, that wind is building out there. It's pretty strong now. It's coming down the lake at a great rate of knots. And that'll be a factor, of course, for these trickers. They're going to be flipping into a pretty strong head breeze. Have to make sure that they're advancing on the boat enough, particularly on those ski lines, to keep up with that breeze. And it's probably getting to the point now in jump where you'd say, without a shadow of a doubt, it's stronger than you'd like, although it's probably from the other direction, of course, but it's probably about the strength it was when Jacinta had her historic 200-foot jump here a couple of years ago. So it's a sort of wind that if you can stay strong in it, you can still jump big. Right now, though, it is Martin Coleman coming in from the western end, trying to back up that toe pass with a strong hand pass and keep himself alive in this overall battle. He opens now with the Mobe, not the cleanest of landings. He's a little bit tight on the wake. It's a butt check on the front flip. Oh no, well, you could kind of see it coming. It was telegraphed Dorian. He was out of balance from flip one. He tried to fight through without sacrificing time, and in the end, he falls early, and he's all but ruled himself out, you'd imagine, of the podium in this overall battle.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, each flip wasn't as clean as he normally does it, and that can be that headwind. You know, he's coming up a little bit short on each flip, case the wake hard there, comes up short on the front, and then case the wake again here, but this time, you know, it just eats him, and that's what a headwind can do for you. You know, it's same thing as slalom. You know, a lot of times a headwind can tighten up the rope, and it can make you actually faster. But at the same time, that means that you have to advance more on the boat because the boat is constantly pulling on that rope, and that can pull you straight back down to the water. And we saw that with Martin there. It's a shame, and at the same time, it's pretty crazy that, you know, we've gotten all the way through women's and men's slalom. We got all the way through women's trick and half of men's tricks now. And this is the first time that we can somewhat say that somebody is probably out of the race. So yeah, it's a testament to how good conditions have been and how good the site is. But you know, a bit of a tough break there for Martin, and yeah, he'll be upset with that. But at the end of the day, he's still in the finals, he's still competing, and you never know until it's over in terms of overall.
Absolutely. Those gusts that were coming through, they have backed off a little bit, but we're going to have to keep an eye on conditions. That could make jump interesting. Some of the old timers around some beers last night, like Jim Clooney and Scott Ellis and your old man, were talking about some of the conditions they jumped in the Pro Tour days. And we could have a little bit of that depending on what the wind does.
Yeah, that's so typical. I get that conversation with my dad all the time about, you know, how we're so spoiled and we spin the jump to get a headwind and we don't jump in these bad condition sites. You know, as soon as we have a couple rollers, you know, it is more dangerous when it's rolly. And I like to tell them that, you know, just because we're smarter now doesn't mean that they had more courage. We're jumping in better conditions, and for our long-term health, I think that's better. But
yeah, we'll tell that to Freddie Krueger because he's still going strong. But
yeah, that's true.
On the water right now, we get into our final two skiers, and they happen to be two of the best trickers in the world right now, both capable of going in excess of 12,000 points. And I love watching this next young man trick Dorian. He's French. He's from that assembly line of French trickers. I don't know how they do it, but they just keep pumping out world-class trickers. And Louis, you know, that's how he burst on the scene. First known as a tricker. The last couple of years, he's really picked up his slalom and jump, and he's an absolute force to be reckoned with in men's overall. Opens up rope on toe. Super quick and controlled through that toe 7, toe 5. He's now through his toe surface turns, lightning quick, toe 540 into the rope. He's outside the wake now. This is his strength, the toe lines. Toe line O is good. His toe line back now, some really rapid fire toe line back to back. He'll have a toe line 5 to finish, sticks the landing, and probably not the best toe run I've ever seen from Louis. There are a couple little bobbles in there. His toe line back to back sequence, he typically transitions faster between those two, so it'll be interesting to see where time finishes up, but in the end, a stand-up pass.
Yeah, his toe line 5 is always right on the bubble, and it was really funny earlier this year at Swiss Pro Trick. He made the mistake of turning out of that toe 5 and doing toe O reverse. He normally doesn't do that until this year, but he got the trick in the toe line 5 at the end, so he's been doing that ever since. And like you said, right there, a little bit slower than he normally does, but he comes right back for this toe line 5, and at the moment, it does look like it's out of time. Nothing's official yet, but that's how close these runs are. I mean, you're talking about split seconds, and I mean, a normal person would watch that and they would think, oh, that was really fast. But for Louis' standards, we're so accustomed to seeing him just lightning quick through all those tricks.
Yeah, I was actually timing yesterday when he tricked, and in his hand run, there was a trick that he lost at the end of the pass that was 1 frame, and I think we're at 30 frames per second. So that's the margin sometimes on whether a trick is in time or not.
Yeah, and it's tough too, because, you know, obviously that last trick, he still did it right, but you're talking about, yeah, 0.0 seconds, you know, 0.01 seconds. And the difference between getting that trick in time and not getting it isn't, you know, a percentage of the trick. It's 0 or it's all the points. So it's crazy. And like you see here, I mean, it still looks like his toe line 5 is out of time. And
And that makes sense based on a couple of those bobbles throughout, particularly that slower toe line back-to-back sequence. So he loses that trick at the end. That's a lot of points. Still, though, he's on track to trick up over 11,000 points if he can stand up a hand pass.
Yeah, and he's definitely, you know, he's got that idea that Joel's probably going to go out and do his thing, and he knows that in terms of getting back into the title fight, he needs a big trick score here.
Absolutely, and we'll see it here in just a few seconds. But one thing I love about Louis and a lot of the French trickers is that they have a bit of a unique sequence. So typically all the trickers we've seen so far today, they will separate their flips and their ski line and 540 tricks. He actually intersperses them. But before that, we have Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, here with Gianina Bonneman. She had 2 stand-up passes in trick, PB in slalom. How are you feeling going to jump?
I'm feeling pretty confident. Like I put a big score out there in slalom. I wanted a little bit more in tricks. My last trick was out of time. I just didn't want to fall and just made sure I have 2 stand-up runs, and that's what I did. So I'm pretty happy with it.
Yeah, super smart skiing. How are you feeling about the conditions here? It's a headwind, but it might be a little bit breezy. How are you going to adjust?
Well, I'll just feel it out on my first jump and see how the conditions are. Hopefully it's going to calm down a little bit until we start jump, but if not, like, we just got to adjust to the wind.
All right, thank you. Good luck.
Okay, thank you, Lauren. Great to hear from Gianina there. We now have Louis coming in for his hand pass. Like I said, a little bit unique, unconventional the way he does this. You'll see intersperses ski lines with flips towards the end of this pass. Seems to work for him, though. He's one of that very elite club to trick over 12,000 points. Critical, though, he stands up this pass to stay in the hunt. He opens with the mobe, and it's reverse. This is really quick for him. Twists now into the half jack, a little bit low and short on that, but he's moving quickly through these back landings. He goes over the line now, some ski lines crossing both wakes. Big ski line 5 and ski line 5 front. The front flip a little bit skew whiff and off axis, and he falls on that ski line O right at the end. Now that ski line O is a buzzer beater, so it's always tight whether it's in time or not anyway. Interesting run from him. He never really looked that settled or balanced, but he was able to battle his way through, and it's still going to be a really big score.
Yeah, actually, you know, if we're looking at yesterday compared to today, if he gets every trick as credit, you know, that it could be exactly the same as yesterday. He did fall on toe line 5, and you know, the headwind, it's really is affecting guys out there. It's everybody's going a little bit lower, they're casing the wake a little bit harder. That ski line back to back, he has to advance a lot in this headwind, and you know, ski line 5 back, still like just not as much advancement as if the wind was a little bit weaker, and you know, a bit uncharacteristic here. He usually does this inverted ski line O pretty well, but you know, if you get a little bit stuck, and he did, and just can't really correct his positioning on the landing, and then his ski just grabs and keeps tracking in a way that he doesn't feel comfortable with and falls.
Yeah, he actually went too big on those ski lines, because what he's trying to do is land in between the wakes and then cross them for a wake front after the ski line back-to-back, or then a wake O after the ski line O. And on both those, he kind of landed on top of the wake. He cased the second wake, and that threw him off balance. He lost that wake front. It's only 80 points, but it all matters. And it was probably part of why he fell on that ski line O. So going a little too big on the ski lines after going perhaps a little too small on the flip. So maybe over-adjusting throughout that run. Still, though, it's going to be a solid score from him. The biggest trick score we've seen so far.
Yeah, for sure. I would still put that in the 11,000 point range. And, you know, like you said, you know, he's probably overcorrecting for the flips and also for the headwind. You know, it's ski lines, the name of the game is advance the boat and get yourself over the line. And yeah, he's probably trying to go hard and big. And sometimes, you know, instead of getting to the boat, you go across. And you saw that on his ski line back-to-back. That is definitely not the way that you would expect him to do his ski line back-to-back.
Okay, well, on the dock, we have Joel Poland, who has taken the world of water skiing by storm in the last couple of years. You know, I know he was promising as a junior. He did well at some junior tournaments. He got a medal in overall at the 2019 World Championships, I believe. But I think it was 2021 where he really took the world by storm, of course, breaking the world overall record once earlier in the year. He then lost that. and then at the World Championships, breaking it again on his way to his inaugural world title. And since then, in the oval discipline, he's been pretty tough to beat. He was the Tour champion in 2022. He's undefeated through the first 3 stops in 23, which means he's already secured that 23 Tour championship. And looking to clean sweep this tournament is Joel Poland. He's a freak, you know. Radar Skis, as sponsor, have released some limited edition skis with some alien graphics because they're not sure, and I agree that his talent is from this world. There's something else going on there for sure. Joel Poland, he is a treat to watch. He will open up rope on toe and watch this first trick. It's not common. There's only a few skiers that do it. Out of the suicide wrap, you typically see a toe 7 though. Joel Poland, he'll be opening up with a toe wake 5 back. Coming into course, the Brit, the Tour leader, the leader after yesterday, opens up strong as he moves through this toe run. Starts well, he's moving quickly through these toe surface turn. He wraps into the rope, straight outside the wake, toe wake O. He goes over the line now, toe line O, toe step to the back. Big toe line 5, pretty low, but he's landed it clean. Toe line back to back, and it's reverse. And that is some clutch releasing there because he looked gone on that second toe line back to back. But do they even bother putting it on the release for Joel at this point, Dorian? They probably just put it on the pole.
Yeah, well, it's funny, actually, you could see that smile that he just gave Matt in the boat. And, you know, that's where you have that relationship between coach and skier, pin person and skier, where Matt just trusts him to pull out of that, and Joel trusts that Matt has his best interest at heart and what he can hold on to. And, you know, really solid start here. Just a tiny little bobble on that toe line O. Maybe got a little more stuck and a little bit of a bobble there. Toe line 5 was super nice. And, you know, I think based on the unofficial time that last toe line back-to-back might be out. It's a bit bigger than he normally does it. Usually, you know, if he's going for that 12,000 point score, he's usually just busting through those toe line back-to-backs. But looks like I'm actually wrong, and, you know, that last toe line back-to-back was in fact in time.
Yeah, so one thing to note, we're using iTrick here, and the way that scoring an iTrick works is that it pulls in the tricks first, and then the next thing they review is the credit of the tricks, and the very last thing they do is time. So that the official time doesn't come up until, you know, about 10, 15 seconds after they ski, whereas those tricks come in quickly. So that's one thing to note. So that's always the last thing we confirm. So both toe line back-to-backs in. He set himself up for a huge score, and meanwhile, we have Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, here with Louis. Just went down at the end of your second pass. How did it feel?
I felt really good. Toes were really good, hands were really good. That was a good rhythm. We don't see that, but like the wind is pretty strong out there. Really gusty. I'm like out of breath after the hands. I was like giving everything I had. Like I wanted to be a bit quicker at the end, and that's what I felt. But felt good, skied good. I don't know my score, but pretty happy with the way I skied.
Yeah, well, good job and good luck for jump. Are you excited? It's a nice headwind. A little breezy, like you said, but what's your plan?
Go late, send it. Let's do it.
All right, well, good luck.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thanks, Pucci. Well, you know, you look at Louis Duplan-Fribourg, and he looks like he was chiseled out of stone, like some sort of Greek statue. You cannot be in better physical shape than he is. And look at him puffing after those 2 20-second passes. It gives you an idea of just how athletically grueling the trick event, and of course this overall format is, skiing 3 times in rapid succession. This is a treat, though. Joel Poland coming in for his hand pass. You know, he does stuff out there no one else in the world can do. He's got a trick in this run that he invented. Got to stand up, though. He almost fell on this first mob yesterday. Beautiful, clean landing. He makes no mistake this time as he goes into the back for the half jack. It's clean as well. It's a quick transition in through his front flips. He's motoring through this pass as Joel Poland. He's on time as he does the Super Mob 5. It's clean. His ski line's at the end. 1 or 2 more tricks. He'll take the lead. I think he's done it. Is it another stand-up pass for Joel Poland? It is. That could be a very, very big score, Dorian. He got all his toe tricks in time, all credit, and that looked like a very solid hand pass from the Brit. Dare we start talking about that overall world record?
Yeah, I mean, you know, we were talking about how 1 is lower than what his normal, or his last world record was at 2, but with this trick score, he could be right back in the game. And, I mean, maybe even ahead of the world record pace. And the way he's been jumping, you know, that's definitely something we can start talking about. Although I must say, now that we're looking at pass one, it does look like the score might have gone down a little bit. So maybe they did go back. I'm not sure. This is all unofficial that we are talking about. But, you know, either way, if that 11,470 is the score, Joel just put out a huge, huge overall score.
Yeah, and in the context of this tournament, most importantly, he has a pretty unassailable lead at this point. He's going to have a buffer going into jump, where he is the strongest jumper in the field, certainly on current form. You know, he's leading after Slalom and Trick. Louis in second, as you would expect, with his score of 11,300. And Edo is sitting in third place.
Yeah, and then, you know, rounding out the last two spots is Tobias Georges and Martin obviously going down. But, you know, still anybody's game, especially with the wind the way it is.
Absolutely. Let's go dockside with Pucci.
All right, here with Joel Poland, 2 amazing stand-up passes in the wind. Kind of tough conditions out there. How'd you feel?
Yeah, I mean, the wind was definitely a factor. I wasn't too sure what I was going to do off the dock, if I was going to like lay up a little bit. And Matt was like, no, screw that, do what you do. So I did. Got in deep at the end of my tow run. Luckily, again, Matt's pinning and he held on. I didn't doubt he was going to hold on, but I was pretty under. And then on that hand pass, like, man, when the wind's that strong, like trying to do Super Mode 5, you got to come into the boat a lot. So I like two-fisted it, like normally you'd let go. I two-fisted it to go over and was in a ball. And once I got past that, I knew I was good. But challenging, challenging.
Well, good job, and we're looking forward to seeing you jump.
Thank you very much.
Back to you guys.
Yeah, thank you, Pucci. And we'll just make a quick course change here. You see our first jumper, Regina Jacques, on the dock. But I believe we'll have time for a quick commercial before we get into the jumping action.
At Dillinger Insurance, we have over 50 different carriers to shop your home, auto, and recreational vehicle insurance needs. We would love the opportunity to save you money. We insure million-dollar mansions, condos, mobile homes, rental homes, and everything in between. We know all about wind inspections, 4-point inspections, and how to get you the right coverage for your particular home. You've got questions, we've got answers. Can you remember the last time you had a rate decrease with your auto insurance? Let's take a look and see what we can do. We know all the ins and outs of getting our customers the best rates, coverages, and discounts, so put us to the test.
Don't monkey around with your insurance. Call Dillinger Insurance today. We've got tons of companies to help find you the best prices and the best coverage for your particular needs on home and auto insurance. Go Knights!
Experience iconic sophistication and style in a new Cadillac from Houston Cadillac in Lake Wales. The 2023 CT4 sedan is nicely equipped with class-leading technology and a head-turning design. The XT4 is compact and spirited, with serious comforts and up to 30 mpg. And the XT5 offers a spacious cabin and impressive suite of tech and safety features. Visit Houston Cadillac and take advantage of our limited-time offers. Houston Cadillac, people you know and trust.
What a pleasure to be here on the beach with Pierre Plouffe, the legend here at Tremblant. Pierre, good to see you.
Hi, Alain.
Tell me about your business. It's been here for a while.
We've been here for just about 25 years. We have activities for all tastes, all prices, and I can show you right now in the water. Let's go.
Pierre, this has to be the perfect spot for all water sports.
Well, we're trying to have all sort of activities on the water, starting with the non-motorized pedal boat, canoes and kayaks, and the very popular lately, the paddle board.
Yes.
We also have the sailing. We have some sailing. We have some sailing boat. We have the day camp for kids. We have fishing boats, runabout, and very popular pontoons, which you can go in the water with families and friends. We have a day camp for kids, which includes water skiing in the morning, surfing and wakeboarding, and some fun board behind the pontoon at lunchtime. We also have a floating mountain, which we call the iceberg. Actually, it's so popular that we had to buy a smaller one for little kids that wanted to go up on one side and slide on the other side.
And the lake is always perfect for water skiing early in the morning, as I know you're the world champion, you train here.
Yeah, I train every day here, and it's fun to have people training with me in the morning, some adults training every day, and some kids also are training now.
Well, the perfect spot. We invite everybody to come and check it out.
Yes, we're waiting for you guys.
Thanks.
Okay, we've got everything set in readiness. Regina Jacques is on the dock, and we're about to get underway in the jumping event. Now, of course, after slalom and trick, Regina is sitting in third in the overall. Didn't slalom as well as she'd like, and obviously had the weakest of the trick scores, but if she jumps well, she has the chance to pull away into first. Maybe first will be tough. It's going to be really hard to catch Gianina Bonneman-Meckler barring a major upset, but she certainly has the ability to move up the leaderboard. So after slalom and trick, Giannina's in the lead. She's got a pretty commanding lead. Paige is sitting in second, which is great, but of course remember that jump is the weaker of Paige's three events, so she'll have to fight very hard to hold on to that second place. Regina is in third place, and Hannah Stratslover rounds out the field, but remembering that jump is Hannah's strongest event, she has the ability to launch from fourth, potentially even into first. It's a pretty tight race. There's only less than 200 overall points separating first through fourth right now. To put that in context, there's about 6 or 7 meters between first and fourth. So Gianina, Paige, they have a slight lead, but Regina and Hannah, jumpers, they're stronger in those events relative to Gianina and Paige. They have the ability to move back into this. So it's going to be a super tight race between these four girls, going to come right down to the wire.
Yeah, I mean, like we were talking about after tricks, you know, Gianina has a commanding lead, and obviously that stems from her slalom PB right off the bat. And, you know, it didn't trick as much as she would have liked. She even said that. But at the end of the day, you know, she has this lead. She's left the door open just a little bit. But Hannah and Regina are really going to have to put one out there in order to make her nervous.
Yeah, and of course, bit of a cloud hanging over Regina. She did, on her first jump in the qualifying yesterday, have a pretty big scare. She's come out of it pretty unscathed, but it was one of those awful crashes that could have been so much worse. Right at the apex of her flight, her right tip dropped, and at that point, it's too late to roll. So all you can do is just try to bring it back, and that's the sort of thing, if it goes wrong, it's a season-ending, you know, knee or ankle injury. In the end, she was pretty unscathed, just a bit of an awkward landing. Came back from that, jumped far enough to make it through to the finals, obviously bottom seed, that's why she's first off the dock. But as long as she can sort of get that out of her mind, she's in the jumping form right now that she could post a score well in excess of 50 meters. We're hoping for something 170, perhaps even 180 feet plus from her. That headwind, it's been up and down. It's pretty strong right now. It's probably not quite as strong as it was towards the end of men's tricks, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. It's going to make things challenging for these girls.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, that is a big thing to have to deal with. But, I mean, Regina already had dealt with it yesterday and got over it, got her second jump good, and third jump I think was even better. And, you know, so she's going to take a lot of confidence in that she didn't even let it affect the end of her set. And yeah, maybe she did go a little bit shorter than she wanted, but to be able to clear that out of your mind within a set and to just go out there and still do your thing, I'd imagine that today she's probably feeling pretty good.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Regina Jacques takes to the water. I'm saying the greatest female water skier of all time. I think when you combine her achievements in the slalom event with the overall event and even in the trick event, you know, I don't think there's a lot of question. I don't think anyone really comes close in terms of total world championships, total professional victories. You know, I think Patrice Martin probably has a similar amount of world championships, and Andy Mappel probably has more pro wins. But when you look at her all-around achievements, I think Regina is certainly the greatest female water skier of all time, and potentially the greatest water skier of all time in terms of strong head breeze to contend with. How does Regina react? She turns the 600 football. Comes gliding out down the lake, nice and wide behind that Mastercraft towboat. This is going to be a pretty serious approach here on jump number 1. She's got plenty of speed. Little bit shaky through the air, somewhat of an upper body crush. Not the big score she's looking for, Dorian, but not a bad opener.
Yeah, it was a little bit reminiscent of what she did yesterday. Had that upper body crush, and she kind of pressed through it a little bit. I think that headwind today probably helped her, because, you know, when there is a headwind, you feel that pressure under your skis, and you can lean into the jump a little bit more. Yesterday, without that lean kind of made her float a little bit through the front of her tips, and like you said, she had to just save it at the end and bring it back. But at the same time, you know, she's got one score on the board, and she's just going to build on it from there. And it was already a pretty good cut. Not the distance that she wanted with 155, but, you know, it's a start.
Yeah, about 47 meters, so not a bad opening jump from her. But she needs to go further. She's got a slight lead on Hannah Stratslover still. It's worth about 2 meters to her, so she can afford that buffer in terms of her battle with Hannah. But of course, Gianina and Paige, they have leads on her. So right now, as it stands, if this were to remain her furthest jump, for the other girls to pull ahead, you know, Hannah only has to jump about 40, 49 meters. That's pretty standard for her. Paige needs to jump about 46, which she's certainly capable of, and Gianina would glide home, basically only needing to land a jump at 43. So she needs more. 47.3, that's certainly not enough. Has had success in the jump event this year. Like we said, we think of her as a slalom skier. She's obviously super strong in overall, but she did win women's jump at the King of Darkness under the lights here in Florida earlier this year, looking to back it up here with another pro victory in the overall. Regina Jacques, jump number 2. She's brought it down. This is later from her. What can she do through the ramp? This is better lift. She's flying through the air. That's going to be further, Dorian.
Yeah, really good, solid second jump. She's still leaning a little bit on that left shoulder when she hits the ramp. You can see her dip down a little bit. If she could fix that, keep her upper body a little bit more and lean into her right hip instead, then yeah, now we're talking about her driving really hard through the ramp and getting that extra bit of lift and speed through the ramp, and that's just going to send her even farther down the lake.
Absolutely. 163 feet on jump number 2, just shy of 50 meters. It's good, but she needs more. So we talked about all of Regina's achievements, Dorian. She's a former world trick champion. She's probably won more women's slalom tournaments than anyone else in the history of the sport. She's a many-time world overall champion. We watched this replay of jump number 2, and still just not getting everything out of the ramp like you said. But I don't think at any point in her career has she won a professional overall tournament. Now, probably that's a tough one, because for most of her career there were none. This is one of the great things about the World WaterSkiers Overall Tour, is it's bringing pro overall tournaments, the first consistent set of them for over 20 years. It's not really since the late 90s there were consistent overall tournaments, and so it's a travesty really that one of the all-time greats like Regina has never until now had a chance to compete in tournaments like these. That's why she's so excited about this. That's why she's here. Maybe it's the inspiration she needs to keep training and stay with it for a couple more years. She has not gone far enough so far, though. She needs to go not just over 50 meters, not just over 170 feet. She needs to push close to 180 if she wants to really put the pressure on the girls still to come. She's got one last roll of the dice. What can she do? I don't think she needs to change the spot. It's all about what can she get out of that ramp. She's been on her heels. She's been breaking through that and buckling through the ramp. Third and final jump now. Regina Jacques turns now, cuts towards the ramp. She's got plenty of speed again. This is better through the air. It's going to be further. I think it'll be the biggest of the set, Dorian. Door still open, though.
That was really good. I mean, she made the adjustment that she needed to. I mean, if you look at the replay, if you look at her on the ramp, she kept her upper body a little bit higher, and right off the top, you can just see that flight was so much smoother. There was no bobble, there was no hesitation off the top. It was just flight and press, and she was able to utilize all that speed, and that definitely sent her farther down the lake, that's for sure. Now we're just waiting on the score, but I mean, yeah, based on what we both have seen, we would think it'd be bigger.
Yeah, 170 feet, so she has gone further, and door still very much open though. So the equation as it stands, obviously she's leading, she's the only one jump. Hannah Stratslover, our next skier, if she wants to take the lead in the overall, guarantee herself of a top 3 finish, she needs to jump 53.9 meters or more. So effectively she needs 54 meters, and she will edge ahead of Regina. However, she probably wants to go a little bit more to put the pressure on Gianina Bonneman. So first and foremost, the goal is get ahead of Regina, guarantee herself that podium finish. To really put the pressure on Gianina and Paige still to come, she's going to want to jump 180 plus. But this, though, is the in-form women's jumper in the world right now. She's been almost impossible to beat all season. In fact, I think the only person that's out-jumped her so far in 2023 is Regina. She's been consistently jumping 180 plus feet. She's had a bunch of scores up around 190 feet. And since the retirement of Jacinta Carroll, there's really no one else that is pushing out those kind of distances in women's jump.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, I do think that 54 meters is still a big jump. I mean, you have to put things together, and you have to have a cut to go 54 meters. But she's definitely going to want to go farther than that. You know, if things stand as they are, and Regina holds the biggest score as Gianina goes out, then Gianina has to go 48 meters, or just under 48 meters. And, you know, not a gimme jump either, but definitely something that she's capable of. So Hannah wants to definitely go farther than Regina and to keep pushing that requirement up for what Gianina has to do later.
Yeah, and she struggled a little bit yesterday, Hannah. Her third and final jump, she jumped, you know, over 180, enough to qualify through the finals. But her first couple jumps, she just couldn't get it all together. So obviously hasn't felt everything out so far, but maybe by third jump yesterday, she got in the zone. Super exciting stuff, though. She's pretty brave. She'll leave it fairly late. This is a lot later than what we saw from Regina. She's got plenty of speed. She comes to jump number 1, kicks it, flies down the lake. I think she may have done enough on jump number 1, Dory, and that's a solid, confident opener.
Yeah, it was interesting. You saw that on her counter cut. She felt that wind. Her ski was a little bit higher than yesterday. I was boat judging for the girls yesterday, and you know, she comes across the wake and she's able to glide really well up into her turn. And right there, just had the tip come up a little. So feeling that wind, that might have slowed her down a little bit. We'll see if she corrects that on the second jump. But yeah, really good start. Not only a score on the board, but
yeah, 175 feet. So further than Regina. Not enough, though, to take the lead in the overall as things stand.
Yeah, just under 53.3 meters. So she needs 0.6 of a meter, 0.7.
Yep, absolutely nothing. It's 16 overall points separating Regina and Hannah right now. But I don't think, first and foremost, her goal is not necessarily just to beat Regina. She didn't come here for a top 3 finish. She's the defending champion at the WorldWaterSkiers Florida Cup. She wants to go back-to-back. And the way things finished up after Slalom and Trick, she has a real chance at winning this event. But to do it, she needs to jump 180 plus. Right now, though, we've got Lauren Morgan dockside.
Here with Martin Coleman. He's going to jump here in a little bit. How are you feeling about the conditions? I know Solomon Trick didn't go quite as good as you wanted. Had a little issue with the equipment and tricks, but you have jump, and that's what overall is all about.
Yeah, it's not done after the last event, so just go out, jump, do my thing, and see where it lands me a spot.
All right, well, we're looking forward to seeing you.
Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thank you, Poochie. Jump number 2 now from Hannah Stratslover, a similar spot. She's got plenty of speed, pushes out over the skis. Oh, it's going to be a similar hole. I don't know if it was a whole lot further. she's battling out there. She's working hard for every foot, every meter. Doesn't seem to be in the zone. You know, when I saw her in Calgary, she jumped a course record up there. It looked almost effortless. You know, she was getting that full extension load out of the ramp, but just fighting a little too hard out there, Dorian.
Yeah, she had more speed in the turn there, but she bobbles a little bit through the wakes, and I don't think she was feeling as comfortable as she'd like to into the bottom. And
now she's probably gone far enough, though, to take the lead off Regina. That jump, 180 feet.
Oh, there you go.
It was a little bit further, but I think to really put pressure on Gianina, she wants a little bit more. So 55 meters, and as it stands right now, for Paige Rini to take the lead, it's probably out of her grasp. She'd need to jump 51.5. You know, that's about 170 feet. That'd be a big personal best. But Gianina Bonneman, the door opens. She only needs 48.3. Now, she's well capable of it, but it is starting to get to the edge of her comfort zone. So it's certainly going to be a tight, interesting finish between Hannah and Gianina. But Hannah, she's capable of more. She's obviously feeling better. I mean, the fact that that was 180 and she still left plenty out there on the lake means that if she gets it together, you can see why she's been starting to jump 190 so consistently.
Yeah, I mean, that score is actually, for what she looked like through the wakes and not looking as comfortable as she could be into the bottom, I think that was a lot higher than what I was expecting. And Jay Bennett telling her to bring it down and to just really cut through the ramp here, and we'll see if she makes that adjustment.
Okay, last roll of the dice, Hannah Stratslover. She'll have to wait and see how she finishes up. But first and foremost, she wants a bigger jump. What has she got to finish? She's already got a 180 on the board. This is even later. She's going to have plenty of speed. She boosts now, flying through the air, soaring. That is huge from Hannah Stratslover. I think that's going to be her biggest of the set. Dorian's maybe a little more skeptical than me.
No, it looked really good. I mean, she made the adjustment that Jay told her to, and she had a little bit of a bobble through the wakes on her counter cut. Maybe could have kept a little bit more speed, but man, that was late into the bottom, and she drove through the ramp really well. And yeah, like you said, you can see why she's the dominant force in women's jump.
186 feet. It is going to be a photo finish here in the women's overall battle. The score now for Gianina Bonneman is going to be pushing up close to 50 meters. It's a huge jump, 56.8 meters. And as it stands, for Paige Rini to take the lead, she needs 53.1. That is going to be out of her reach, you'd assume, but still going to be a good battle between her and Regina for that third spot.
Yeah, for sure.
And Gianina, well, she's going to have to jump 50 meters effectively. 49.8 she'll need to win.
Yeah, Paige is definitely going to need something around what she did yesterday towards that 50-meter mark. And, you know, the way she jumped yesterday, she's definitely capable of doing it. And Paige, she looks like she's been training and jump really well, and she's putting a lot of things together. And yesterday she did 3/4. I'm thinking that she'll probably do 3/4 again, which does limit your distance a little bit, but the way that she looked super solid. And yeah, I mean, I'd say definitely is within striking distance of closing in on Regina.
Yeah, and one thing to note is that that wind has been really strong, and how strong a headwind you like is a little bit related to how good of jumper you are and also how big a person you are. So typically the men's jumpers will like a slightly stronger jumper than the women's jumpers, and the further you go, obviously conditions are great out there. We just saw a really big jump from Hannah Stratslover, but that wind has died off. It's not as strong as it was during men's tricks, and I would have to think this headwind coming down the lake right now is just about as perfect as it gets for these women's jumpers. You know, Paige probably wouldn't have been too keen to jump in the wind that was coming down earlier, but these conditions really turning on.
Yeah, and Paige needs 50.6 meters to take the third place spot away from Regina. So, you know, it is a big jump for her. It's going to be a PB, but like we said, she looked really good yesterday, and she's definitely capable of pushing herself further down the lake.
Yeah, it probably is going to come back to that slalom missing 11. She really needed to run that to have a real chance at the gold, but been impressed with her jumping. She jumped well yesterday in qualifying. What can she do for us here in the overall finals? Like you said, the 3/4 cut, she's backed it up, though this is still pretty late from Paige. Beautiful lift and extension. And she has the technique to really push on. I think in the next couple seasons, that's probably going to be a big focus for her. But I believe she has the technique to be a 50-meter jumper in the seasons to come.
Yeah, and one, like you were saying before with Regina, you know, this tour is something that's awesome not only for the giants of our sport, like Regina, like Martin Coleman, like Felipe and Adam Siddlemeyer, but at the same time, it's somebody like Paige that is really good at slalom and really good at trick, and you know, maybe jump's not her strongest, and it was something that maybe she wasn't going to keep jumping forever, and now she can go back out and work on it with a purpose instead of thinking, you know, every Worlds or every Pan Am Games I'm going to do overall. Now she can work on it every year and really push herself down the lake.
Yeah, and Paige has been a great supporter of the tour over the last couple of seasons. She's been to most events in 22 and 23, and that, of course, is why she's sitting up in third in the tour leaderboard coming into this event. So she's got a real chance at closing out the season in the top 3, which is great for her. That opening jump, 153 feet, 46.7. And that's a really good opening jump for her. And dockside, we have another skier with Lauren Morgan.
All right, Hannah, 186 feet. Great job. Close to your PB. How'd it feel out there?
Conditions a little bit challenging. Wind is like up and down a little too much. And you never take jumping easy, you know? So you always want to stay focused and on point. But it was a good set.
Good job. It was fun to watch.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Thank you. Great to hear there from Hannah Stratslover. This is Paige Rini coming in, jump number 2. Started strong with a 153. What can she do to back it up? This is good from her, a similar approach. The Canadian drives down to the base of the ramp. Beautiful lift and extension once again, using that headwind to full effect. And like I said, I'm really impressed with her jumping. I feel like it's really picked up this season. And I could see with a little bit more time at it, some big improvements with that solid foundational technique she has.
Yeah, I mean, you know, on a 3/4 cut, especially in a wind like this, it's hard to keep up your speed. And, you know, you can see in the turn here that Paige is maybe leaning a little bit too much over her left ski, and that, you know, it doesn't allow her to really drive through the ramp. And that's what's we're actually watching Matt right now. He's telling her that she needs to, you know, get more speed in her glide, and that's going to free her up through the turn. It's going to let her be on her right ski more, which is just going to allow her to go later and to drive more through the bottom of the jump.
Absolutely. I'm just glad to see Matt's not on any kind of arm brace after holding on to Joel Poland on that last trick. And that jump further from Paige, 158 feet, 48.1. And again, it's sort of a could have been. She tricked pretty well, missed a trick or two, but finished just shy of 9,000 points, 48.1 meters, you know, 158 feet. That's right up around her best in jump. If she had have just slalomed a little bit more, you know, you feel like she would have been right in this race. But as it stands right now, it still only puts her in 4th. So probably likely where she'll end up. What she needs to get ahead of Regina is probably a little bit out of grasp, but really excited to see her posting such a great score in the jump event. One last roll of dice for Paige Rini. Conditions are perfect. If there is ever a better time to get a personal best in the jump event, it's at Fluid, one of the premier, if not the premier jump sites in the world. You've got a beautiful light head breeze coming down the lake right now. You got the big, strong 6.2 liter engine in the Mastercraft towboat. It does not get better than this. Third and final, Paige Rini. Similar approach, better turn though. She's got plenty of speed. Another good jump. I don't know if it's any further though, Dorian. Looked to be a similar hole to me.
Yeah, no, it was a good jump set for sure, and I mean, a 48.1 meter jump is really good. I'd say that's pretty close to, you know, PB territory for Paige, and at the very least, you know, if she doesn't get a bigger score, Matt did come by and say that he doesn't think that was a bigger jump, and you know, I think he knows Paige pretty well and would be able to guess that. But
consistent set all over 150. Exactly. So that last one, 155, 47 odd meters. So really good jumping from her. But now it comes down to your tour leader, of course, already after just 3 events, your 2023 tour champion. She's been undefeated all season, and she has some real pressure on her. The most pressure she's felt all season. Gianina Bonema-Mekla, the equation is she has to jump 50 meters. 49.8, 49.9, that would do it. It's 164 odd feet she needs. Anything less than that, Hannah Stratslover will defend her crown here at the WorldWaterSkiers Florida Cup. And Gianina, great jumper, certainly has jumped 50 meters many times in the past, but she has a lot of scores in that 48, 49 range. So it's going to take a big performance from her. Great to see this women's overall battle coming right down to the wire. Okay, let's go dockside with Lauren Morgan.
All right, here with Paige Rini. She just won 158 feet. PB is 159. So close. How did it feel?
It felt really good. I mean, the conditions were amazing. I mean, we're always hoping for a headwind. So whenever it's a headwind, I'm happy to put my skis on and go for it.
Good job.
Thank you.
Back to you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we have Gianina Bonneman-Meckler coming in, jump number 1, looking to post a score up over 50 meters. Had a fantastic day on the skis, running a personal best. Trick score a little bit down from what she would have liked, but still enough to be the highest in the event. Trying to cap it off here with her 4th consecutive victory on the tour. Real cheese! Rolling down the window. That could have gone terribly wrong. She dropped the tip. And that is not going to be the opening jump she was looking for. Heart in the mouth stuff. The safety crew are up on their feet. She's shaking it out. And that is not a great way to open up her campaign in the jump event. That head breeze getting the best of her. We watch the replay now. And Gianina, it was almost all over. You watch this, Dorian, off the top, the tip drops. She's done incredibly well to bring that back.
Yeah, that's definitely a scary way to start a set. And I've been there, and you know, even without the crash, it gets in your mind, and it's something that she's gonna have to shake off. And you know, she is the smallest person in our field, the lightest person, and sometimes in the air, that wind can really affect you. So, you know, she'll try to get that out of her mind and get back on the focus of the real goal, which is, you know, get that 50-meter jump score to get the title.
Absolutely. Well, you get an idea of how far she could have gone, you know, if she had have gotten a little bit better out of the ramp. That was still 154 feet, so not all that far off what she has to do to take out this overall crown. 2 more chances, though. The pressure starts to build. She has not gone far enough on jump number 1. She's almost ended her day. In fact, those falls can be pretty nasty. It could have been an end of season moment. It shows the pressure that goes on these jumpers each and every time they go out. So Gianina Bonneman-Meckler coming in, 2nd attempt. She almost had a trip to the hospital on jump number 1. How does she back up from there? It's got to be gnawing at the back of her mind. She turns now, turns the 600 football. She's shooting down the lake. She needs to hold speed in this head breeze through the turn. This looks to be another spot. She might have backed it up a touch as Gianina Bonneman-Meckler. Can she get a hold of this one? It's better, much better lift, rides up over those skis. It's going to be close, Dorian. She may have gone far enough.
I know, and she's in this spot now where she has that first jump, and you know, I'm sure she's not thinking about it, but obviously the Worlds is coming up. She's already wrapped up the tour. She's won every stop, and yes, it would be nice to get the clean sweep for the year, but you know, I'm faltering to say that she doesn't have as much to fight for right now, but you know,
Well, she's done it.
Yeah.
165 feet by the barest of margins, probably only 2 or 3 overall points in it. Gianina Bonneman-Meckler has swept the World Water Skiers Overall Tour, winning 4 consecutive events, undefeated, and what better confidence builder to go into the World Championships later this year. Could we see her take home her first world title?
Yeah, and I know that 2 years ago it was definitely on her mind to win the Worlds, and that was the goal for the year. And you know, she had so many great tournaments that year. That year, I think we only had 2 stops for the overall tour, and she swept the first one in all 3 events and went into the Worlds. You know, she went to the U.S. Open in Chicago and did really well there. And we were talking about, you know, how you set up for the Worlds, and each round she kept building and building, and then unfortunately right before the Worlds had a crash in practice for Famil and just completely derailed her Worlds. So yeah, sweeping the overall tour this year is going to be a great confidence boost, and she'll definitely take that into the Worlds.
Okay, one last jump. What has she got for us to finish? Gianina Bonneman-Meckler, will she take it, or will she just pass for the crowd? She loves jumping, though. I could see her eyeing up this headwind, thinking, I can go even further here today. She comes now, turns towards the ramp. The German kicks off the top. It's another good jump. It might be further. Beautiful lift and float and airform. Throws the fist. And she has just been so hard to beat. I mean, this is going to be the tightest margin. There's really only about half a meter in this between Hannah Stratslover and Gianina Bonneman in the end. But she has taken out yet another tour stop, undefeated so far, and will remain that way through all of 2023.
Yeah, that was really mentally strong. I know we've been talking about that a lot today, but you know, that's not only jump and overall, but like each individual jump, to be able to come off the ramp on that first jump and to have everybody gasp on the shore and to turn around and to have a better second jump. And then for that third jump, I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Would have never expected that her first jump was off.
Obviously, within jump, Hannah Stratslover had the biggest score, Regina had the second biggest, and Gianina with the third. But most importantly, in the overall, Gianina has won. Hannah Stratslover a very close and narrow second, and Regina Jacques will take the bronze. That results on screen are obviously before Giannina's jump comes in. Once that comes in, she leapfrogs to first. And great skiing from all four of those ladies. We'll have a quick break here while we put the ramp up to 6 foot for the big guys, and we'll probably have a quick commercial break while we put that ramp up.
All right, we're here with Gianina Bonneman, your champion. Great job. I know it was a little bit of a crazy first jump, but you did it. You pulled it together on jump 3. How did it feel?
It actually didn't feel bad out there. Just on my first jump, I ran out of speed, and I didn't get my hips around. I didn't get my right ski around, and that's why I was a little bubbly in the air. But I knew, like, if I had more speed, everything would be fine, and so I had confidence in my second and third jump, and I'm super happy about how I performed out there.
Yeah, well, great job. Congrats on the title.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Back to you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Pucci. And we are now into the men's jump. Edo Morenzi, he will be first off the dock after Solomon Trick. He is sitting in 3rd place and not all that far behind Louis Duplan-Fribourg in 2nd. He is trying to fight his way into the winner's circle for the first time this season. He has been at every event so far this year. He got 3rd in Lacanau, 3rd in Austria. He got 4th in Calgary, trying to fight his way into that winner's circle. It's been pretty tough to get ahead of Joel Poland and Louis Duplan-Fribourg. They have been a cut above, but Edo shown a lot of improvement in recent years. Solid, consistent score in the slalom, picked up 3 at 10.75. Trick's a little bit down from what he would have liked, but still over 9,000 points. Did not jump super well in qualifying. It came right down to the wire. He was just short of 60 meters in the end and managed to sneak ahead of Tencho by a single overall point. He knows, though, to have any kind of chance in this, he needs to go over 200 feet. That headwind has died down. It does not get better than these conditions right now. Edo Morenzi, the Italian, jump number 1. Is this the time? He has a breakout and a big jump. Oh, a little bit early in the end. Pre-kicked it a touch. Oh, that was one I probably would have passed on. Dorian, I don't know about you.
Yeah, that was a bit of a sketchy start. Edo's usually a really solid jumper. But yeah, it looked like maybe he got pulled up, turned a little bit hard and got pulled up through the wakes and was just waiting on the jump instead of driving through the ramp. And, you know, when you're waiting on the jump, a lot of times that's when you pre-kick. And just right here, just waiting too long and, ooh, you know, a little bit of flutter in the air. So I don't think that'll freak him out, but, you know, it's definitely nice to get through one of those, that's for sure.
So 185 feet. from a jump where he was far too early and obviously didn't carry a lot of speed through the ramp. You know, he's a guy, a name to watch. He's pretty young. He's apart from Tobias, he's the second youngest in this field. He's only about 22 years of age. He's got 1 semester left of college at University of Louisiana Lafayette, trying to pick up yet another national title. And then talking to him, his plan over the next couple of years is to focus 100% on his training after that. He's got the backing from his family to do that for a year or two. And, you know, pretty young guy looking to see if he can pick up his scores across all 3 events and be a guy that could really challenge the likes of Louis and Joel and yourself, Dorian, in the seasons to come. And jump's probably a big identified work on for him. You know, he's got the technique to go a lot further, I would say. You know, he does these high 50, 60-meter jumps with relative ease. But to really compete, he needs to be pushing up those scores we're seeing, you know, 210, 215, even 220. Jump number 1, that wasn't it. He needs to bring it way down. Has he done so as he shoots out on his counter cut, trying to generate that pendulum approach? He'll double the boat speed here into the base of the ramp. Edo Morenzi, jump number 2. He's got more speed, better lift, flies down the lake. That's further. Still probably just not late enough, struggling to adjust in this head breeze.
Yeah, definitely not happy with that jump. And, you know, he has about a 6-meter lead on Toby in terms of holding that last podium spot. And, you know, after tricks, I think we did say that Martin Coleman's going to be struggling to, you know, get back on that podium. But yeah, 185, definitely a better jump than jump number 1. But I know that he's capable of way more.
Yeah, just waiting, I think 186 ended up being, so only a foot further on jump number 2. Just struggling out there. I think in this head breeze, he's going to need to carry a lot more speed into the ramp, through the ramp, if he's going to get anywhere. Right now, he's getting plenty of floaties going up, but he's just not able to carry that speed down the lake.
Yeah, and like you said, you know, he definitely needs to start pushing up that jump score on a consistent basis, and he is capable of that 60-meter range, whether it's 61, 62, or 59, 58. But at the same time, you know, there have been tournaments where he's pulled out mid 200 to 210 range jump, and so he showed that capability, that he has that in his potential. But to just get that more consistently, that's where he's going to need to be.
Well, it's so hard to fire across all 3 events at the same time. We see that from a lot of skiers where, you know, in each individual event, if you were able to pull those scores off at the same tournament, you'd be almost unbeatable. But to be at a point in your training where you're firing in all 3 events at once is nearly impossible. Edo Morenzi, one last roll of the dice. What has the male model from Milan got for us? Is this any later? I think it is. He's going to have more speed as he comes off the ramp. I think it's going to be his furthest, but it's not far enough. I don't know. He's left the door open here for Tobias Georges.
Yeah, he's not going to make it easy on Toby, that's for sure. But, you know, he's been jumping really well. Toby's going to be excited that he has a chance at a podium in his first pro final here at the WWS Tour. It's going to be within his range.
Yeah, that jump coming through is actually quite a bit further, 197 feet, just shy of 200. It should be just shy of 60, 59.7. So I think the smart money right now, looking at the 4 skiers still to come, is that Edo Morenzi has a really good chance at holding on to 3rd. It's going to take a huge jump from Tobias Georges to launch into the lead. He's going to need 66 meters if he wants to sneak into the podium. That's going to be a tall order, but Tobias Georges, he is a phenomenal jumper. That's the strongest event, and he'll be eyeing up these conditions and thinking, is this PB territory? Is this the day I go 220?
Yeah, I mean, it's a big jump, that's for sure. I know Toby has gone, you know, 65, 64, like multiple times. So he's definitely capable of it. Right now he needs a 66-meter jump. So this would be PB territory for him. But, you know, he'll be super excited. And I'm excited to see what he does.
Yeah, real talent, young man. He's obviously only about 21 years of age. Under 21 world overall champion, and he will be someone to watch in the future. It's great. We have these young guns early on. We get into some of the top skiers in the world, and we have Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, Edo, 197 on jump number 3. Looked like you got it together, kind of brought it down a little bit after the first 2. How did it feel?
The last one felt pretty good. I haven't jumped enough before this tournament, and like my leg went numb after my first jump, and yeah, it wasn't fun after that, but I brought it together. Hopefully it's enough to get on the podium, and we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Good job.
Thank you.
Back to you all.
Thank you very much. And Edo Morenzi, with that jump, I think has guaranteed himself of finishing up in third on the tour for the season. So door still open for this tournament, but I don't think he can be caught in third place on the tour leaderboard. Of course, there's money for that as well. Tobias Georges, jump number 1. Super excited to see this young man out there. He's a real talent in the jump event. What's he got for us jump number 1? He's got plenty of speed. He comes off the ramp well, and that's going to be over 200 feet, I think, Dorian Llewellyn. Carries his speed so much better through the ramp than we saw from Edo.
Yeah, really good edge to work through the wakes into the bottom of the ramp, and man, he pressed really hard in the air. He's really trying to milk every single inch and every single centimeter out of that jump. So definitely would think that's our first 200-foot jump. I'd say it's pretty solidly over 200, or I could be wrong, and it would be 199.
Agonizingly close, 199 feet to open for Tobias Georges, but a solid foundation to build from. Certainly think with 2 more jumps to come, he will push up over 200.
Yeah, just the way he was in the air, that air form, I think it caught me a little off guard. It just looked really nice, and he had that float through the air, so maybe a little bit more speed, bring it down. You know, the wind has backed off a little bit, so he should be able to really maintain his speed well in the glide, especially at a place like this. You know, Fluid has just this magic ability on that far side. It's a little bit shallower, and you just seem to come through that turn so fast and yet still able to maintain line tension. So, yeah, I'm expecting that he'll bring it down, and we're going to see a big jump here.
Fantastic. Jump number 2 approaching for Tobias Georges. He opened over 60 meters, 60.7, but just shy of that magical 200-foot mark. Looks to bring it down now at the 600 football. Needs to carry that speed here on his glide through the turn. Can he generate that extra speed to fly in excess of 200 feet? This is later from Tobias Georges. He's got lots of speed. It's another beautiful kick. He's floating down the lake. Surely, surely.
Yeah, I don't know. It's close. Now I'm kind of nervous. My distance judgment seems to be off today, but another really nice jump. I mean, you can see, you know, we were talking about Edo, and you can see with Toby that he's got all the keys and all the tools to, you know, keep pushing it further down the lake. And I think whether it's today or whether it's in the next couple of years, he's going to really be a force to reckon with in overall.
That's right, 204. So he's broken free of 200 feet, and he's jumped far enough now. It's going to be pretty tough for Martin Coleman to catch him, so he's pretty much guaranteed of a 4th place. He's still got a long way to go to have any chance of catching Edo Morenzi. For that, he needs to push up over 66 meters. But this is better for him. He's building well throughout the set. As he spins now down at the Eastern End, it's a good time to thank some of our tour sponsors. They've been with us throughout the season across 4 different countries. Of course, White Cross, medical scrubs and athletic wear. Centre Nautique, that's that beautiful resort in Mount Tremblant, where you can water ski and hike and wake surf or anything you'd like out there on the water and in the mountains. Acquire, the official clothing line of WorldWaterSkiers. Charter Cruises, a girl loves a sunset. You can book your sunset cruise. Dreammakers Foundation, of course, our presenting sponsor, SDC for this cup, and then Red Bull. And I've certainly been tucking into one to try and bring the energy levels up as we build to a climax. This is Tobias Georges. Jump number 3, last roll the dice. Can he push up into the mid to high 60s? He needs it to get ahead of Edo Morenzi. This is later. This is the latest cut. He's in big trouble. He's barely made it on. Well, I don't know if his right ski hit all red there. He clipped the corner, it looked like to me. He was in big trouble. He's done well to safety crush and ride away safely. But love to see these young guns pushing the envelope, shooting for huge jumps and overall titles.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, he loves jump. He's a jumper. But at the same time, you know, he's not going to back down from any of these overall guys. So he's going out there and pushing it as hard as he can. And yeah, that's the name of the game. It's inches and jump. You know, you want to be as late as possible. This might have just been a touch too late. And, you know, it does make it on the ramp, but just by the slightest of margins. So sometimes when you're that late and things are moving that quickly, you don't have time to react, and the ramp just hits you, and you end up, you know, either rolling back, rolling forward. I'd say out of the two options, you know, having a little bit of a slide out the back like that was probably the better bet, and it's not what he wanted either, but, you know, it's his first WWS Overall Tour final, and if Martin goes, I believe it's 64 meters now, then he would overtake him for 4th. So I think Toby has a good chance of holding on to 4th place. So great start to him for him on the tour.
Absolutely. Martin Coleman, you know, had a real shot at winning this event, or at least finishing in the top 2 or 3. You know, had that early fall tricking. That has cost him. It's pretty much ruled him out of contention. If he pops out a huge jump right up around his personal best, he could certainly overtake Tobias Georges into 4th. There's really no chance of him finishing higher than that after that early fall in tricks. And we have Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, Toby, 204. Not as good as yesterday, but still a pretty solid jump. How did you feel?
Well, it was really nice out there. The boat is really strong, so I wanted a bit more, but I'm okay. It's fine.
Good job.
Thank you so much.
Back to y'all.
Yeah, thanks, Poochie. And the boat spun around. We're about to have Martin Coleman come in, jump number 1. Now, you know, we talked about with Martin, probably the last few seasons, jump has been the event that's let him down in the overall. He's living and training in Utah. They have shorter seasons. There's not as much access to jumping, but he jumped really well in qualifying, up over 200 feet. Would love to see him post some big scores as a bit of a confidence builder. He comes in jump number 1, enjoying these beautiful conditions that Ski Fluid has turned on. This is pretty late for Martin Coleman. He's got lots of speed. He kicks it. That's a big jump. That should be over 200 feet to open.
Yeah, I'm really pumped to see him doing doubles, because for the last years, you know, since he won the Worlds, it seemed like he didn't have a lot of, you know, like you said, he started the job and he didn't have as much time to train, and he's been doing a lot of 3/4 cuts. Now, that being said, you know, we were talking about it earlier when he found his form here last year. He was doing 3/4 cuts, and I think he went 208. So this is a guy that on not as much speed can still generate those big jumps. And now with him doing a double, you know, I do think that this 64, 65 meter jump is within range, but you know, he's going to have to put a lot of things together.
Absolutely. Opening up with 208, so a 280-foot footer to start. And there seemed like there's a little bit more left in the tank from him. He was pretty late. I was impressed by how late he went there on jump number 1.
And he's only 22 overall points behind Toby.
There's
so
nothing in it, huh?
Yeah, this isn't over, that's for sure. Yeah, I mean, we wrote him off pretty quick after tricks, but that just shows you how good Martin Coleman is in overall and why he is a former world champ. He had a bad day in tricks, and a lot of guys would say, all right, I'm packing it in, I'm not going to go for it, especially, you know, a guy that wouldn't necessarily consider jump to be his best event. But he goes out first jump 208, so that's pretty awesome to see.
Yeah, I mean, if he can get back to his form where he's consistently running 39, he's tricking up around 11,000 points, and he jumps like this, you know, throw his name in the mix to challenge Joel Poland at the Worlds later this year. This is jump number 2. Conditions absolutely perfect. Could we see Martin Coleman fly? He's got plenty of speed. He drives through the... Oh, no. Wasn't happy with that one. Let it go.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, his first jump was late. That one looked like it could have been a touch later, and I think, you know, this tournament, I'm sure he came into this wanting to podium, wanting to maybe, you know, fight for the title if things shook out his way. But if anything, I'd imagine that this tournament is a really good way for him to get himself over that hurdle of, you know, that first big tournament of the year where you go into it and you're not exactly sure how far you're jumping. And a lot of times you see that first score and you say, okay, I'm on the right track, or maybe I need to push here more. And at the very least, this is going to get him going. And he's going to be pumped up for the Worlds after a 208 on his first jump and a good slalom score. Like, this is the way that he would want to get warmed up for the Worlds, that's for sure.
Absolutely, a veteran of the field. You know, he's really not that old, but compared to the rest of the field, he's basically geriatric in his mid-30s. And you see him pretty heavily strapped up there. It takes a toll on the body, a lifetime of overall skiing.
Yeah, definitely. And, you know, the last couple stops, or the first couple stops of last year, he was there, and, you know, we kept making the joke, like, oh, you're the old guy of the tour. And then I think he had a business trip that he had to go to the U.S. Nationals, and he missed the stop, one of the stops, and all of a sudden I became the old guy.
Yeah.
And at the time I was 26, so I couldn't believe that I was the old guy on the tour. So it shows you that, you know, a lot of these guys are super young, and Martin's not old by any means, and he's a former world champ, so he's definitely not the guy to back down.
Last roll of the dice, Martin Coleman, like you said, 2019 World Overall Champion. Will he be in contention later this year? One more jump. This is pretty late again from Martin Coleman. He lets it go. Probably too late. You know, it's hard when you open with such a good jump like he did, probably as big as he's been all season on already a pretty late cut. He made the smart call. He tried to push it a little bit later, but wasn't comfortable with either of those approaches.
Yeah, and like we were just saying before, you know, this is a really good warm-up for him for the Worlds, and those jumps might have been exactly the result of that. He got the jump he wanted on jump 1. He wanted to see how far he could push himself in the next 2, both times realizing maybe this is a bit too much for me right now. So like we said in tricks, you know, that was probably a business decision, and he's gonna regroup for the World. He's gonna have another 6.5 or 5.5 weeks. And then, yeah, if another 5 weeks it cuts like that, and we could see a very different looking Martin Coleman at the Worlds.
Absolutely. We move now to the final 2. Barring any major upsets, these 2 will finish in the top 2. Right now, for Louis Duplan-Fribourg, unique skier, he really just has to ride over a jump, and he will take the lead. That will not be what he's thinking about. He's thinking, how big of jump score do I have to put out to put pressure on Joel Poland? Joel is in all kinds of form right now. Going into jump, he had the perfect 2,000 points. He had the highest slalom score, running 10.75, getting that one at 10.2, the one at 41 off. He had the highest trick score, 11,680. Louis just back with 11,300. So it's going to be pretty tight between these 2. Joel has a bit of a lead going into jump, but we've seen Louis pop off some huge jumps in the past. Of course, he's now the French national record holder, setting that at the opening stop of the tour in Lacanau.
Yeah, and as you can see here, it's wind's picking up.
Yep.
So.
And we've got Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, here with Martin Coleman, 208 on jump number 1. Past the other 2, how did it feel?
It felt great out there. The first jump was where I wanted to start. Then I came in with a little more speed into my turn, got my skis more around, and ended up a little early. And then on the third one, I just caught a gust on the counter that slowed me down. So I'm very happy, 208. That's kind of what I came here to do. So good end to a bad day.
Awesome. Well, we'd love to see it, and good job, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.
Back to y'all.
Thanks, Poochie. And yet again, it's another one of those, that's all I have to say about that Forrest Gump style interviews. Coming into course now, it's the Frenchman, Louis Duplan-Fribourg. Has been in all kinds of jump form all season, but that wind, as you said, Dorian, is building. It's starting to get pretty strong out there, probably stronger than they'd like it. Will Louis adjust? Has he made the timing decisions? Well, he's gone pretty late. He's got all kinds of speed. Can he hold this one? He does. He flies through the air. That is huge. Louis Duplan-Fribourg has flown out there.
Yeah, that was a very big jump. He definitely, you know, when you see the wind pick up like that, sometimes it can make jumpers hesitate, and Louis just put his head down and drove through the ramp, and he really got all that lift out of that jump, and that's going to be a much bigger score than we've seen so far. Wow.
Yeah, that is massive. We'll wait on the meters, potentially a new French national record, 225 feet. And what a way to send a message to Joel Poland still on the dock. Where does he go from here, Dorian? This jump, he had everything. He can't go any later. He barely made it on. He had great extension. He flew through the air. What an opening jump from Louis Duplan-Fribourg.
Yeah, I'm super impressed. You know, like I was saying, wind that strong, sometimes you get to a tournament, you're not expecting it, especially something like this when it picks up out of the blue. And he not only did he manage the wind well, he like committed to the jump right away. He made the adjustments, went later, kept his speed up. I mean, those are all things thinking on the fly that, you know, even the best jumpers around the world can get wrong, and Louis just nailed it on jump number 1.
Absolutely a new pending French national jump record, 68.7 meters. You know, Fluid is the home of the 230. More 230-foot jumps here in the last 10 years than any other site in the world. In fact, double more than the next best. Can Louis add his name to that list? It's a very strong head breeze, but he's handled it well so far. What's he got? Jump number 2, the Frenchman. He's got plenty of speed. He's backed it up. Too early, I think, there.
Yeah, he went around the 6, but man, the wind's gotten strong. And, you know, that's what I was saying. I was expecting on jump number 1, you know, a lot of people get caught off guard. And I guess maybe Louis just was going super late, jump number 1. He knew he had to chase Joel and knew he had to chase a big score and just went for it. And things worked out exactly how he wanted them to. And, you know, that one, he went around the 6. You would expect an open men's jumper that goes around the 6 to be pretty late. You know, a lot of guys laugh because I go around the 6, but I'm also smaller, and sometimes the wind slows me down more than the other guys. But for a guy of Louis' size and strength to go that late off the 6 and to still be early, you know, that tells you how strong the wind is out there.
Yeah, and it's going to be tough to adjust. So as it stands right now, Joel Poland, to win the event, has a manageable but still challenging 63 meters he needs to jump, or 62.9 exactly, assuming Louis doesn't exceed. So, you know, Joel has been in really good form. He's been jumping far, but still, when these variable wind conditions, that's a big jump. You have to get things right timing-wise. You have to be able to carry speed into your turn, which is tough in winds like this. So, you know, certainly putting a score out there for Joel to chase. He's got one more jump, though. Can he build? Could we see another skier join that very elusive 230 club? Another 70-meter jump. He's got the French national record. He set a pending one on jump number 1. Can he extend it even further? That wind, it settled down a bit. The gusts that were there on jump number 2 have backed off. Things are pretty good. If he can read the conditions, it doesn't really get better for jumping than what we have right now. Louis Duplan-Fribourg, the Frenchman, he's backed it up. He's sprayed the 600 football. Jump number 3. Turns now, heads to the ramp. This is a good approach from the Frenchman. Breaks the shackle. Oh no, he's in big trouble. The tips have dropped forward.
Yeah, if I'm being honest, I think that spraying the 6 might have been the wrong adjustment. Because yes, the wind did back off, but he was so much earlier on jump number 2 than he was on jump 1. And, you know, I think if he had gone on the exact same spot as jump number 2, even without those wind gusts, he would have probably been in the right spot. And, you know, spray the 6, you could see it again. He, you know, jump number 1, he turned, and it was immediate turn and cut to the ramp. And the last 2 jumps, both of them, he turned and had to wait. And that waiting, you know, that's when you come into the ramp a bit early, and then he kicks it, and he goes really high, and that's when you start to flutter in the air like that. But, yeah, just not enough speed in the turn there, and waiting on the ramp a little bit. And this got a little hectic in the air there. I think being jump number 3, last overall tour stop, you know, a couple pro events still left this year in the Worlds. I think he'll be happy, especially, you know, given the fact that jump number 1 was massive.
Yeah, I mean, to put this in context, Louis Duplan-Fribourg's overall score in this final of 1.5 at 10.75, 11,300 points and 68.7, that would have to be pretty close to exceeding Jarrett's overall record that stood for 14 years. I mean, that is a sensational overall score. We really have only seen skiers, you know, match or exceed that in the last few years. It's an amazing, amazing score across all 3 events. But if anyone can beat it, it's this next man. And Dorian, you have been crunching the numbers, but based on his performances in slalom and trick, what could we potentially see if he gets a hold of a big jump?
Yeah, with a 69.5 meter jump, if my math is right, then we would see a new world overall record. And the way Joel's been jumping, it's definitely possible.
Okay, and we've got Lauren Morgan dockside.
All right, Louis, great job. 225, a PB, and a French national record. Last one was a little dicey, to say the least, but hey, good job. I think second at on the stop, so great job.
Yeah, it's been amazing jump session. The wind was so tricky. The setup was so hard. Finding on the first ramp, and then couldn't find it on the second one. And the second one was pretty gusty. The last one was just too early, and it was a bit dumb to go in the ramp like that. But I wanted more. I wanted to push it. But yeah, pretty happy. PB, that was awesome to jump.
Yeah, well, great job, and we look forward to seeing you next year as well.
Me too. Thank you.
Back to you.
Okay, thank you, Pucci. Coming into course now, Joel Poland, the absolute super talent out of Great Britain, jump number 1. Can he win his 4th consecutive tour stop? This is good. He breaks the shackles, flies 200 feet on jump number 1. I think that will be enough. He just needs 62.9 to get ahead of Louis.
Yeah, I mean, based off Louis' first jump, I don't know, we might be a little bit biased here because that first jump was so massive, but it's going to be closer than you would have expected given Joel's form in terms of jump, but it was still a really, really good first jump, and he might have taken it.
Yep. He has been unbeatable, a quadruple threat. Like we said, he's capable of winning events in slalom, trick, jump, and overall. And on jump number 1, he has done enough to win his 4th consecutive overall stop of the season. He's got that notched. That's big for him, but he's got 2 more jumps. A perfect head breeze. He only needs about 10 more feet, and he will set a new world record. And it didn't seem like he got everything out of that jump. He can certainly go a little bit later out there. So Joel Poland, he's won the tournament. Now he's looking for an overall world record.
Yeah, that definitely didn't look like he was pushing it super hard. Might have been part of his game plan to go out and have a solid first jump, you know, with the tour title, or the stop title at least on the line. He's already wrapped up the tour title, and you know, this is where pressure's off for him and he can just focus on the bigger goal.
Huge moment, folks. The overall world record is the hardest record in world water skiing to break. I don't think anyone would disagree with that. You know, it stood unbroken for about 14 years through most of the 21st century. Joel Poland, if he gets a hold of a big jump here, certainly within his grasp, he could break one right here in front of your eyes. Jump number 2. This is later. He's made the adjustments. He's brought it down. Can he get a hold of it?
Oh, that's big.
It's big. A little bit like yesterday, Dorian. He banked a little bit. He wasn't able to hold the load right through the ramp. So it's not as clean or controlled as, say, 235 at the Cali Pro-Am last weekend. But he had so much speed that it's probably going to be further.
I couldn't tell if he thinks he got it or if he's upset that he almost had it.
He's putting his arms up. He's happy. 4th consecutive tour stop title this season, and he's done it. 2:29. Joel Poland, we believe, has just set a new world overall record, just short of 70 meters. And what a performance. He slalomed, won at 41 off, 10.25. He tricked 11,680 points, and now he has jumped 229 feet, just shy of 70 meters. 69.8 it was, and that is a phenomenal performance. History has been made here at the 2023 WorldWaterSkiers Florida Cup presented by SDC. And all of you folks on site watching around the world, you have been a part of it. He wants to go further, though. That was not everything. He didn't.
No.
He banked a little bit through the air. He lost a little bit of load and line tension. If he can hold a cut like that, he's going to go 71, 72 meters.
Well, and that's the thing with an overall record. You know, a lot of people would say, okay, bring it in and just, you know, break it again. But when it comes to the overall record, you can never be sure when the next time that you're going to get on a roll like this. So I would imagine he's going to go for it again.
Storybook finish to the season. You couldn't have asked for a better finish to such a great tour than a world overall record. Joel Poland wants to go further. Can he push up over 230? It's the home of the 7-meter jump. This is even later from Joel. Can he get a hold of it? No, he can't. He banks aggressively. Does well to get back to his skis, but you could see it there. He was pushing. He wanted a 240.
Yeah, that was a lot. He definitely brought it down a lot there, and it's interesting. He's going earlier on the 6th than Louis, but he's carrying so much speed coming through this glide, and it's really wide on the boat, and so he actually ends up later in the turn than Louis was, and man, was he cutting hard here, and just slips out a little bit on the jump, and you know, Joel's a cat. He's able to correct these in the air pretty well. So.
Yep. We started in Lacanau in France. We went to Austria, Calgary, and now Florida. And dockside, we have Pucci with Joel Poland off potentially a new world overall record.
All right, Joel, 229 feet. You win the event. You break the world overall record. How are you feeling?
Was that the record?
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Holy cow, I thought I needed to go like I thought I had to go 2:30, so if that's a record, I mean, damn. I don't even know how I feel right now.
Yeah, well, I guess we'll have to see, but unofficially, that's what I'm hearing. So,
Okay.
if not, you still in the event?
Okay, yeah, definitely pumped. Pretty happy. That last one, though, oh, I forgot about that for a sec. That was kind of terrifying. I was pretty late. I kind of had to, like, edge change to get on the ramp. I think my fin's still there. It's the wrong ski, maybe.
Yeah, we'll check it later.
Yeah, no, that's the right ski. It's there. So, yeah, I was late. It was sketchy. But that second jump, I really felt like I had more in it. I was, like, a touch slow in the turn and just trying to carry speed. That headwind's strong. But, yeah, that felt good. Whew.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Back to you guys.
Thank you, Pucci, and beautiful shots there. The elation on Joel Poland's face, realizing what he has done out there. I don't know if he knew, Dorian, the significance of that achievement. Obviously, he knew he'd won the tournament, the perfect 3,000 points, a fitting finish for the most dominant athletes who have won every store. Gianina Bottom-Mekla sweeping all events, Joel Poland the same, and finishing with the perfect 3,000. Louis, as always, pushed him hard throughout. I'm sure Joel will be the first to tell you he probably would not have jumped that far if it wasn't for Louis going out before him and setting a new French national record. And great supporting acts from Edo Morenzi, Tobias Georges, and Martin Coleman. We're going to have a quick commercial break, and then we'll be underway with the awards.
What did he trick today?
Experience iconic sophistication and style in a new Cadillac from Houston Cadillac in Lake Wales. The 2023 CT4 sedan is nicely equipped with class-leading technology and a head-turning design. The XT4 is compact and spirited, with serious comforts and up to 30 mpg. And the XT5 offers a spacious cabin and impressive suite of tech and safety features. Visit Houston Cadillac and take advantage of our limited time offers. Houston Cadillac, people you know and trust.
What a pleasure to be here on the beach with Pierre Plouffe, the legend here at Tremblant. Pierre, good to see you.
Hi, Alain.
Tell me about your business. It's been here for a while.
We've been here for just about 25 years. We have activities for all tastes, all prices, and I can show you right now in the water. Let's go.
Yeah, this has to be the perfect spot for all water sports.
Well, we're trying to have all sort of activities on the water, starting with the non-motorized pedal boat, canoes, and kayaks, and the very popular lately, the paddle boarding.
Yes.
We also have the sailing. We have some sailing. We have some sailing boats. We have the day camp for kids. We have fishing boats, runabout, and very popular pontoons, which you can go in the water with families and friends. We have a day camp for kids, which includes water skiing in the morning, surfing and wakeboarding, and some fun boards behind the pontoon at lunchtime. We also have a floating mountain, which we call the iceberg. Actually, it's so popular that we had to buy a smaller one for little kids that wanted to go up on one side and slide on the other side.
And the lake is always perfect for water skiing early in the morning, as I know you're the world champion, you train here.
Yeah, I train every day here, and it's fun to have people training with me in the morning. Some adults training every day, and some kids also are training now.
Well, the perfect spot. We invite everybody to come and check it out.
Yes, we're waiting for you guys.
Thanks.
At Dillinger Insurance, we have over 50 different carriers to shop your home, auto, and recreational vehicle insurance needs. We would love the opportunity to save you money. We insure $1 million mansions, condos, mobile homes, rental homes, and everything in between. We know all about wind inspections, 4-point inspections, and how to get you the right coverage for your particular home. You've got questions, we've got answers. Can you remember the last time you had a rate decrease with your auto insurance? Let's take a look and see what we can do. We know all the ins and outs of getting our customers the best rates, coverages, and discounts, so put us to the test.
Don't monkey around with your insurance. Call Dillinger Insurance today. We've got tons of companies to help find you the best prices and the best coverage for your particular needs on home and auto insurance. Go Knights!
I wrote down today. So, Jared, I'm good on.
Experience iconic sophistication and style in a new Cadillac from Houston Cadillac in Lake Wales. The 2023 CT4 sedan is nicely equipped with class-leading technology and a head-turning design. The XT4 is compact and spirited, with serious comforts and up to 30 mpg. And the XT5 offers a spacious cabin and impressive suite of tech and safety features. Visit Houston Cadillac and take advantage of our limited time offers. Houston Cadillac, people you know and trust.
Yeah.
all of the judges, the volunteers, and of course Ski Fluid for hosting this wonderful event. We're so grateful for all of our sponsors. We could not make events like this happen without you. So first, we'd like to thank our Florida Cup local sponsors for making this happening. SDC, Statistics and Data Corporation, of course, our title sponsor. Huston Cadillac, Buick GMC. If you're looking for a Cadillac or a GMC in the area, they're certainly the people to talk to. Kelsey Trailer, of course, for all logistics need. If you're looking to move things from coast to coast up in the Great White North, talk to Kelsey Trailer. Visit Central Florida. Of course, this is the water ski capital of the world for a reason. So encourage all of our viewers around the world to plan a trip here in the future. Dellinger Insurance, talk to Mike Dellinger and the team if you're looking to insure your boat, home, lake house. And when you're getting insurance, it's important to talk to a skier because they'll understand your needs better than any of the big insurance firms out there. And finally, Performance Ski and Surf here in Orlando, the biggest and best water ski shop in the world. You know I live all the way on the other coast. I order all of my gear through Performance because their customer service is unmatched around the world. We're going to start with the Women's Awards. This will be presented by Carrie Morgan, representing Girl Loves the Sunset. They offer wonderful charter cruises, and we are going to count off the women. You know, we had a great battle. We had to cut a field of 7 phenomenal athletes down to 4. We had really good skiers that didn't even make it into this final. But in 4th place, we'll have 4th place come up, stand next to the podium, of course, was Paige Rini, who had a really good day in the trick event. She jumped great as well. Probably her slalom let her down the end, but she's been fantastic all season. On the podium, so great to have her here competing in a pro overall tournament. Like I said on the mic all day, probably one of the greatest water skiers of all time. I would say the greatest female water skier of all time, no questions asked. 3rd place was Regina Jacques. Absolutely nothing separated the top 2. It's been great to have this next skier on the tour the last couple stops. She's really making our champions sweat week in, week out. There was nothing in the end between the two of them, but finishing narrowly in 2nd place is Hannah Stratslover. And of course, your winner, undefeated all season. This is her 4th consecutive victory on the tour. She started off strong with the new personal best in slalom, backed it up with solid performances in trick and jump to take her 4th consecutive win. It's none other than Gianina Bonneman-Meckler. And as is tradition, Britta has pre-popped the champagne for Gianina. Okay, put your hands together for your women's overall podium, and big thank you to Carrie Morgan and Girl Loves the Sunset. We'll move to the men's podium now, and it's a huge honor to bring up one of my childhood heroes and one of your sponsors here this weekend, Jim Clooney, to come and represent Kelsey Trailer. And he would have been looking pretty excited eyeing up those jump conditions this afternoon. In 5th place, in the men's overall, had a bit of an unfortunate day in the trick event and couldn't climb out of the hole. It's Martin Coleman. Fourth place, his first appearance on the WorldWaterSkiers Overall Tour. We hope to see him at many more events in the years to come. It's the youngster Tobias Georges of Argentina. In 3rd place, he was probably a little nervous when he looked at the depth of the field coming into this event, and he snuck into the final by the barest of margins, only 1 overall point. He was pushing down teenagers, 17-year-old kids to get here into the finals, and then he really turned on his skiings here when it mattered in the finals, securing 3rd place it is Edo Morenzi of Italy. For the 4th consecutive stop this season, he's getting very, very used to that 2nd place podium and will be itching to climb a spot higher. Jumped superbly, setting a new pending French national record, but still not enough to edge the champ, is Duplan-Fribourg. And your champion, who else, winning his 4th consecutive stop of the season. He's been unbeatable, and how better to finish the season than setting a new pending world overall record. It is, of course, the champ, one of the greatest to ever ride skis, Joel Poland. Let's put our hands together for our men's overall champions here at the 2023 WorldWaterSkiers Florida Cup presented by SDC. Now, speaking of our sponsors, we also want to thank our tour sponsors. These are the people that have supported us all across the world throughout this season. 4 stops, 4 different countries, and we could not do it without these people. You know, all these companies are just like our world-class athletes. They're striving for excellence, and they all love the sport because it's all part of a family-based and rooted community. Our tour sponsors, of course, are White Cross, and they're your #1 source for medical scrubs and attire. Centre Nautique, that beautiful resort up there in Canada where you can enjoy some of the most picturesque water skiing scenery in the world. Acquire, they're the official clothing supplier of the tour. Of course, Girl Loves the Sunset, we spoke about that earlier. Dream Makers Foundation, SDC, Statistics and Data Corporation, and of course, Red Bull. And we'd like to bring up one of our tour sponsors, a representative from White Cross, Richard Lufty, to present the awards to our tour champions. So these are the folks that have finished on the top of the podium week in, week out across all 4 countries. And these are our tour champions. In the women's, in 3rd place, just missed out on the podium today, but she's been consistent throughout the season, is of course young Paige Rini from Canada. We talked earlier about how tough it was to make that women's final. In 2nd place, she actually didn't get to ski today. She narrowly missed out on making the final, but she's been such a consistent competitor, performing well in France and Austria and Canada. It is Sasha Danuaskaya. And your tour champion, who else, undefeated across all 4 events. And she is unstoppable right now. I cannot wait to watch her at the World Championships later this year. It is, of course, Gianina Bonneman-Meckler.
Regina Jacques.
Put your hands together for your women's tour leaders. For those of you watching around the world or on site that don't realize, this is the first time in about 20 years that water skiing has had a professional tour where there is money for the season leader. This is pretty big, pretty significant. As we present the men's awards, we'd like to bring Kyle Ead of Ski Fluid up to present. And Kyle, maybe just quickly before we hand out the awards, I want to have a quick word with you because this site, Ski Fluid, you know, I think everyone's known it's one of the premier sites in the world, but really making a reputation in jump. You had a pending world record set, a pending French national record, and of course it's the home of the 230, the 70-meter jump. What's in the water out here? What are you doing to turn this jump site into the world beater it is?
I don't know, Curtis. I love skiing. I love having you guys out here, the pros. Even though these record time competitions, we try to make everything kind of perfect. We're kind of a skiers sort of club, a skiers site. We want to make sure things are right for you guys. I think we do a good job of that, and I think the skiers, when they come here, enjoy that part of it. And the performances speak for themselves. So congrats to Joel today for the pending world record. We've had Louis with his French record. You guys skied awesome. Just while I've got the mic here, I do want to mention you guys really need to thank Jarrett and Britta Llewellyn for getting this event together, this tour. You know, like, I don't know if you know this, but I mean, you know, obviously Jarrett was one of the best overall skiers in the world. His heart is still in it, and he keeps pushing this sport forward for you guys. So keep supporting him and WorldWaterSkiers, and let's keep this thing going.
Thanks, Kyle. Okay, in the tour standings, Mr. Consistent throughout. He's been on the podium in third place in 3 out of the 4 events. His worst place finish this season was 4th. He's a young guy, and I think in a couple years we could see him right on top of this podium. It is, of course, the male model from Milan himself, Edo Morenzi. And second place, no surprises, a string of 4 consecutive second place finishes, earned some second place on the tour. And, you know, he has gone from being a tricker who was pretty good in slalom and jump to being an absolute world beater in at least 2 out of 3 events. And with the slalom coming up, he's going to be a real threat for everyone to deal with in the years to come. It is, of course, the Frenchman, Louis Duplan-Fribourg. And your tour champion, who else? He actually sewed up this title a few weeks ago in Calgary by winning 3 consecutive stops. Not to be outdone, he went one higher, won the 4th in a row, on the way setting a pending world overall record. It is, of course, Joel Poland. Well, congratulations to your men's tour champions, all great mates. They've been traveling the world together, and so great to see them finish up the season on top of the podium. Just closing here, like Kyle said, a huge thank you to the whole WorldWaterSkiers team. Of course, not just Jared and Britta, but David and Tom and all the guys and girls working behind the scenes. There's a lot of work goes into these events, and I think just to close out, I'm going to hand the mic to the big man himself, Jarrett Llewellyn.
Big man, that's an understatement. Yeah, the little guy. Kyle hit it on the head, just out to Lacanau, Geraldine and Christoph, Calgary event, Slalom C, the club in Austria, clubs around the world. Kyle, this is just, you know, the clubs is the backbone. That's what WorldWaterSkiers is about, is building the sport back and supporting clubs. And the whole platform is all about trying to bring everybody together. And this sport is all about family. Everybody that's here is family. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for jumping in and doing what you do. And the Sheeties, thank you so much. David and Tom, I mean, behind the scenes, there's so much stuff that you guys have no idea what's going on. And And again, to my wife, this wouldn't be happening without her approval. So I want to thank everyone. And the skiers, any ideas, anything you have, we are open to everything. This is not just about overall. Everybody talks it's overall. This is about a show. You guys are professional, and we want to give you a stage. And thank you all for coming out today. And let's go have some drinks and some food.
Thank you very much, Jarrett.
Oh, wait, I want to say one more thing. Glenn, who's probably, hopefully watching, and you guys, he jumped up, and then you've done an incredible job, and thank you for doing that. You've done an incredible job. Thank you.
Cheers, Jarrett. I'm excited to see everyone next year for more fantastic events. Signing off, I'll steal from Jarrett. I'm Glenn Light.
Experience iconic sophistication and style in a new Cadillac from Houston Cadillac in Lake Wales. The 2023 CT4 sedan is nicely equipped with class-leading technology and a head-turning design. The XT4 is compact and spirited, with serious comforts and up to 30 mpg. And the XT5 offers a spacious cabin and impressive suite of tech and safety features. Visit Houston Cadillac and take advantage of our limited time offers. Houston Cadillac, people you know and trust.
At Dillinger Insurance, we have over 50 different carriers to shop your home, auto, and recreational vehicle insurance needs. We would love the opportunity to save you money. We insure million-dollar mansions, condos, mobile homes, rental homes, and everything in between. We know all about wind inspections, 4-point inspections, and how to get you the right coverage for your particular home. You've got questions, we've got answers. Can you remember the last time you had a rate decrease with your auto insurance? Let's take a look and see what we can do. We know all the ins and outs of getting our customers the best rates, coverages, and discounts, so put us to the test.
Don't monkey around with your insurance. Call Dellinger Insurance today. We've got tons of companies to help find you the best prices and the best coverage for your particular needs on home and auto insurance. Go Knights!